For all your essentials at our 10 stores island-wide, the time by H&L Rapid True Value is
nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Crisp and refreshing. Room temperature or chilled. A pure water would drink. The temperature by Pure Water is
33 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 31 degrees out west in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
In nationwide news at this hour, the Jamaica Association of Public Health Inspectors says it has ramped up efforts to prevent an increase in mosquito breeding sites across the island.
We have a lot of water on the ground, a lot of persons are displaced, a lot of debris, a lot of solid waste, and with the rainfall, this has increased the mosquito population.
CRIF to pay out $1.6 billion to Jamaica under the government's excess rainfall policy.
This is in addition to the $2.5 billion payout last week that was triggered by the government's tropical cyclone policy.
The multi-layered framework is working. It is showing its value. 4 of the 5 layers have been triggered. And what we have to do is to keep it up for decades to come.
Teams from Consumer Affairs Commission have been deployed across the island to collect data on the prices of goods following the passage of Hurricane Beryl.
In news from the rest of the world, Antigua's Prime Minister Gaston Brown condemns the attack on Donald Trump.
Trump picks Ohio Senator J.D. Vance as his vice presidential running mate.
In headline sports, Shelley and Fraser Price among 16 Jamaicans set for action at the Continental Tour meet in Switzerland.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, the state of America's democracy and the implications for global security is under scrutiny following Saturday's attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. We'll get perspectives of former U.S. Ambassador to Jamaica Donald Tapia and senior fellow at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government Professor Richard Parker.
In public opinion at 6:26, we'll ask, what's your reaction to the attempted assassination of former U.S. President Donald Trump? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio. You can also message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693 or leave us a message on Instagram at Nationwide90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, Energy Minister Darrell Vaz says there is now a crisis regarding the restoration of electricity to JPS customers who were impacted by Hurricane Beryl. Minister Vaz will join us.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Monday afternoon, it's Monday, July 15, 2024.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. The Jamaica Association of Public Health Inspectors says it has ramped up efforts to prevent an increase in mosquito breeding sites across the island. This follows the passage of Hurricane Beryl over a week ago. The president of the association, Michael Miles, spoke with Nationwide News Monday afternoon. Dana Davy reports.
Following the passage of Hurricane Beryl, the Health and Wellness Ministry, along with public health inspectors, warned Jamaicans to expect an increase in the breeding of mosquitoes. They note that the public should be particularly wary of the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which carries the dengue virus. According to the ministry's last dengue update in April, the country recorded more than 11,000 cases island-wide. That figure is expected to rise as the rainy season progresses. Mr. Miles explained that waterlogged areas across the island are providing added breeding sites for mosquitoes.
After the onset of Hurricane Beryl, what we have realized is that we have a lot of water on the ground, a lot of persons are displaced, a lot of debris, a lot of solid waste, and with the rainfall and the displacement, we realize that this has increased the mosquito population in these parishes and across the island. And this is what is happening now. We realize that we have a lot of water ponding in the areas, in the drains, in the gullies, and so we have the Culex mosquito breeding breathing heavily, which breathe in the drain. So these mosquitoes are fierce biters. And then we have the Aedes aegypti and the Aedes albopictus, increasing the possibility of vector-borne disease such as the dengue fever.
There's been a raft of complaints to Nationwide News about a surge in mosquitoes across the country since the passage of the storm. Members of the public have been advised to take action in their homes to reduce contact with mosquitoes, which can breed in any contained environment which holds water. However, the Jaffe president says health inspectors have encountered resistance to their pleas.
Our activities have been heightened to try and be proactive, especially in the heavy hit areas of the southern area. We would have conducted a joint intervention where all vector control workers and other workers went into each affected area doing education, a search and destroy. And in the searching and destroying, we realized that one of the challenges is that persons are not complying with the messages. We are talking, but with the level of breeding that we are seeing, we realize that householders are not responding positively to the messages.
He added that fogging activities are also being done during peak breeding hours.
What we have to be doing too is to increase adulticidal activities in the morning, because along the coastal areas, especially, it's windy, and so it's difficult for the fogging to work. It will just be blown away in the wind and not be effective. So presently, we are doing morning fogging at dusk and dawn, because these are the peak feeding hours of the mosquitoes, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. in the morning, and between the hours of 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the evening.
Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Mr. Miles says additional resources will be employed to help with vector control activities across the island.
This will continue on for the rest of the year. For the rest of this financial year, we would have given the go-ahead to heighten all vector control activities, with the view also to employ additional resources for persons or vehicles to assist in the adulticidal activities.
Mr. Miles is imploring the public to take active measures in reducing mosquito breeding sites.
We advise persons that they should wash the inside of their water holding containers to remove the mosquito eggs. Mosquito lay their eggs on the inside. So we advise persons to wash the inside of containers before they refill with the truck water that is coming in the community. They want to also improve that persons can use cooking oil, 2 to 3 drops, and to form a thin film on the water surface. That also reduces the mosquito breeding for those who do not want the chemical in their container or the larvicide, and for those who rear animals.
Michael Miles, president of Jaffe.
Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says the government's excess rainfall policy with Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility CRIF has been triggered. He says this will result in a payout of $1.6 billion. Minister Clark made the announcement on Monday afternoon on his social media accounts. He says this amount is additional to the $2.5 billion payout last week that was triggered by the government's tropical cyclone policy. Dr. Clark credits the government's cooperation with CRIF for the payout Jamaica received following the passage of Hurricane Beryl. Minister Clark explained the policy changes while speaking Monday on Nationwide This Morning. Mahiri Stewart has that story.
The Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility, CRIF, is the world's first multi-country, multi-peril risk pool providing parametric insurance. It was designed to limit the financial impact of catastrophic hurricanes and earthquakes by quickly providing short-term liquidity when a policy is triggered. The finance minister announced last week that a payment of $2.5 billion from CRIF was triggered due to the passage of Hurricane Beryl. Speaking Monday on Nationwide This Morning, Minister Clark explained that Jamaica's original tropical cyclone policy with CRIF was done in a manner that weakened its effectiveness.
The way in which we started out, we're trying to have CRIF cover too much area. right? We had sort of one layer in our disaster risk insurance, and we expected it to cover everything from low intensity to high intensity storms, from low frequency to high frequency. And, our CRIF policy was basically overworked and overburdened, and, it just couldn't cover that entire area. And that's why you need multiple layers. The policies today, George, we have, our CRIF policies have what they call an attachment point.
He adds that Jamaica's new multi-layered CRIF policy has increased the likelihood of a payout.
The attachment point earlier in our journey with CRIF was very high. The exhaustion point was also very high.
Yes.
And the exhaustion point is the point above which the full maximum amount under the policy pays out. So the parameters that we had in the policy, and one can understand, because what we're trying to do is to have CRIF cover a wide, just cover a big area.
Yes.
With multi-layers now, we can have each layer, specifically cover, each layer complements each other, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, man.
That CRIF doesn't have to work as hard. Today, the deductible for CRIF is much lower, and exhaustion point is also lower as well.
Minister Clark explains that through the government's negotiations with CRIF, Jamaica has seen 2 payouts in the past 4 years, as opposed to 1 in 13 years under the previous policy.
The multi-layered framework is working.
Yes.
It is showing its value. 4 of the 5 layers have been triggered. And what we have to do, George, is to keep it up for decades to come. It took 13 years for us to have the first trigger from our CRIF policy. The sentiment against CRIF became very, very negative after that experience of 5 hurricanes, and it did not trigger. We didn't throw away the CRIF. We didn't abandon the CRIF. What we did was to engage with them, and policy parameters were optimized, updated, etc. And, look, we've had 2 payouts in the last 4 years, and I fully expect that we're going to have another payout on our excess rainfall policy. So let's see what happens there. I can't be definite, but I expect that's going to happen.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Dr. Clark says he does not think the passage of Hurricane Beryl will affect the government's plans for the Spark program. The $40 billion roadwork initiative will see each constituency receiving $150 million to undertake necessary road improvement projects.
Yeah, I think the latest information I have is that and Minister Morgan will speak to it more definitively, but that program is going quite well. Prior to Beryl, a number of consultations have happened already, and the procurement is far advanced. So that you're right in pointing out that if the Spark program was a priority before Beryl, it's even more of a priority after Beryl. So we don't expect that program, is going to be affected by the passage of Beryl.
Dr. Nigel Clark, Minister of Finance. Dr. Clark was speaking Monday on Nationwide this morning.
The Consumer Affairs Commission, the CAC, says teams have been deployed across the island to collect data on the prices of goods following the passage of Hurricane Beryl. The routine survey forms part of the CAC's efforts to curb incidences of price gouging. We have more in this report from Shalois Michael.
Price gouging is the practice of charging customers a too high a price for goods or services, especially when demand is high and supplies are limited. Communications specialist at CAC, Dorothy Campbell, says the teams have been in the field conducting surveys on the prices of food items before and after the hurricane.
During the Atlantic hurricane season, we do a pre and post. So we usually do pre-hardware prices and we add some other items to our grocery survey. And after an event, we go out and do another survey in order for our economists to do a comparative analysis of the pricing that they find across the country. This event occurred so quickly, and the fallout was that we didn't have electricity, the roads weren't safe, and so on. So the post survey is going on now, and so when that is ready, it's usually posted on our website so consumers can go online, do their own comparisons, and decide when and where is the best place to shop.
While there's been no formal report of price gouging, Ms. Campbell is reminding citizens that there are fines for persons found guilty of the act.
What has been happening is that some consumers have been posting on social media, but it's very vague. So what we try to encourage them to do is to go to our website at www.cac.gov.jm. The drop-down complaint form, complete that so we can have location, we can have the item, we can have the price they paid, and also to attach copies of their receipt as evidence that they did pay that price. And anyone found guilty of the action of price gouging can be fined up to $1 million.
Ms. Campbell is also reminding consumers that paying excess money for services, especially repair work after a natural disaster, is also a form of price gouging.
In this time, it is ripe for scams and ripe for persons to take advantage of those who are really out of pocket. So it can occur with any kind of service that is now in demand. And what is in demand now? Water. Also, whether you're repairing your roof, ensure that you know what the material, delivery, installation, everything written on paper and agreed before you start those services. So the risk is there for both grocery, construction material, as well as the services that these persons will provide to repair your property.
Shaloy Smichael for Nationwide News.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is...
It's 16 minutes after 5.
Rent-A-Kill Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rent-A-Kill Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rent-A-Kill is
33 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 31 out west in Montego Bay.
Let's talk about inflation. At May 2024, the annual inflation rate, the general rate of price increase over 12 months, was 5.2%. This is good news, as it shows that inflation is being controlled and the rate of price increases is slowing. May was the fourth consecutive month of lower headline inflation, and the third straight month, inflation was controlled within the target range of between 4 to 6%. A message from Bank of Jamaica.
Continuing the news, the Court of Appeal has ruled that Kensington Primary School breached the constitutional rights of a child when it denied her access to school based on her dreadlocked hairstyle. The ruling partly overturns a July 2020 ruling by the Constitutional Court, which found that none of the child's constitutional rights had been breached. That ruling had triggered widespread public outcry. Ricardo Brooks has been reading the ruling.
The then 5-year-old child, who is referred to as ZV because she's a minor, was denied enrollment at Kensington Primary in Portmore St. Catherine after the principal advised her parents that the school had a policy against the wearing of dreadlocks. The school's policy also banned the wearing of braids or beads. The primary school told the child's parents that past experiences with poor grooming, which led to an outbreak of lice and fungus, was the justification for the ban on dreadlocks. The family filed a suit alleging the school had breached the child's rights to freedom of expression, equitable and humane treatment by a public authority, among other grounds. The Constitutional Court dismissed the lawsuit and upheld the school's actions against the child. On Monday, the Court of Appeal said the lower court ruling was wrong and flawed. President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Patrick Brooks, declared that the school's policy against dreadlocks breached the child's rights to freedom of expression and equitable treatment by a public authority. Importantly, the appeal court said those breaches were not demonstrably justified in a free and democratic society. King's Counsel Michael Hilton, who led the legal team on behalf of the Verga family, says the ruling is a significant victory.
We're very pleased at the outcome of this case. I wouldn't say it's necessarily the most important case I've done, but it's a very, very important case because it speaks to the right of many people who don't get the recognition they should, and it strikes down what I certainly feel was a policy that was very flawed and very discriminatory. And in Jamaica, of all places, to have in the 21st century a policy against locks wearing and declaring locks to be a basis to exclude a child from school was just so wrong. And we are very pleased that the Court of Appeal struck it down.
While the Court of Appeal did not find there was a breach of the family's right to protection of private life, privacy of the home, and freedom of religion, Casey Hilton says the ruling is groundbreaking in applying freedom of expression to hairstyles.
Well, it's very groundbreaking in that regard. A, for hairstyle generally. B, for children, because one of the arguments by the government is that a small child is not expressing anything, effectively has no right of freedom of expression, which the court has said, yes, they do. You can express your feelings, your lifestyle in ways that you're not hurting anyone else, but you can do it with your hair and the way you style your hair. And dreadlocks in particular, you will know that Jamaica's had a history of discrimination against dreadlocks, and it's an important decision specifically in relation to that.
The Verga family was represented by Michael Hilton, Dania Allen, and Isat Buchanan. The government and Kensington Primary were represented by King's Counsel Althea Jarrett and Javonia Clark. The child is to recover one half of her legal costs in the Court of Appeal and in the Constitutional Court. Ricardo Brooks for Nationwide News.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown, has condemned the attack on former U.S. President Donald Trump. In a statement issued by the Antigua and Barbuda Embassy in Washington, D.C. on Sunday, the Prime Minister decried all forms of violence against political leaders. He said it is central to representative democracy that politicians be allowed to campaign without threats to their lives. Prime Minister Brown said he's pleased that President Joe Biden also immediately condemned the attack on Trump. He added that all well-thinking people globally must make it clear that there is no tolerance for violence in political culture. Prime Minister Brown wished Mr. Trump a speedy recovery.
Donald Trump is in Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention 2 days after he survived an assassination attempt. The leading Republican candidate became the party's official nominee after a formal counting of the delegates at the convention. The former president named J.D. Vance, the senator from Ohio, to be his running mate and vice president if he returns to the White House. Vance was once a Trump critic, but he has since become one of the candidate's most trusted defenders on Capitol Hill and in the media. Born James David Bowman in Middletown, Ohio in 1984, Vance comes from a white, working-class family, mostly of Scottish-Irish descent. He was raised by his maternal grandparents in the once booming coal country, which is now one of the country's poorest areas. A former Marine, Vance was recruited as a Senate candidate in 2021. Once he joined the Senate race, he abruptly changed his tone regarding Trump, apologizing for previously calling him reprehensible and even repeating the president's false claims of voter fraud in the 2020 election. With an endorsement from Trump, he clinched the Senate seat and has since become an influential voice in Washington.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, the Court of Appeal has ruled that Kensington Primary School breached the constitutional rights of a child when it denied her access to school because of dreadlocks.
The Jamaica Association of Public Health Inspectors says it has ramped up efforts to prevent an increase in mosquito breeding sites across the island.
CRIF is to pay out $1.6 billion to Jamaica under the government's excess rainfall policy.
This in addition to the $2.5 billion payout last week that was triggered by the government's tropical cyclone policy.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
Listeners, you can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
I pursue opportunities.
I prepare for opportunities.
I plan for opportunities.
With Sagicor e-Invest, you can prepare, plan for and pursue IPO opportunities. Browse IPOs, review IPO details and prospectuses. Select and apply for a featured IPO. IPO with Sagicor e-Invest. Think wealth. Visit sagicor.com.
On July 18 and 19, Privacy and Legal Management Consultants Limited will show you how to take control of your data with top-notch privatization solutions offered at their Prioritizing Privacy Conference. This conference is dedicated to informing the public about the latest innovations and best practices in data privacy. Cliff Hughes Online will broadcast live from the conference on July 18 and 19 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tune in for insightful discussions with speakers from Trinidad, Barbados, the United Kingdom, and Jamaica, and explore the future of data protection. You don't want to miss this. That's a live broadcast of the Prioritizing Privacy Conference on July 18 and 19 during Cliff Hughes Online, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by Privacy and Legal Management Consultants.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Shelley and Fraser Price is amongst 14 Jamaicans entered to compete at the World Athletics Continental Track and Field meeting in Lucerne, Switzerland tomorrow. Fraser Price, who will be competing at her last Olympic Games in Paris this summer, will run in the women's 100 meters at the Spitzenlichten Athletics alongside compatriots Serena Cole, Brianna Williams, Jodine Williams, Crystal Slowly, Sasha Lee Forbes, Serena Cole, well, I mentioned her, and Kishonda Niles along with Kemba Nelson. The men's 100 meters will have former national champion Rohan Watson. National record holder Rasheed McDonald is down for the men's 400 meters, while Stacey and Williams runs in the women's equivalent. Reigning world champion Daniel Williams and Amoy Brown will compete in the 100 meters hurdles, while on the men's side, the national champion Rashid Broadbell is the lone Jamaican entered for the event. Lanae Tava-Thomas will run in the women's 200 meters, where Serena Cole and Jodine Williams will also have lanes. Former Calabar High School standout Kemar Farquharson remains disappointed, but he says he has accepted the J3's apology after the blunder which resulted in him being removed from the team that was selected to represent Jamaica at the Paris Olympic Games. Farquharson was selected as a reserve for the mixed open 4x400 meters relay. Anthony Cox was brought in, Cox of Chase Athletics, to replace Farquharson. The J3As had stated that Farquharson was removed from the team because he was injured. However, the Texas A&M athlete informed Nationwide Sports a short time ago that he is fit and in full training. And he says 3 members of the J3As, including its president Garth Gale and Lincoln Eatman, they have since reached out to him, stating that the decision cannot be reversed.
They apologized to me and explained the situation, and looking forward, everything should be okay. I'm just hoping that everything work out next year. I don't have nothing like this to worry about again, this is like an experience. I'm just going to take this as a lesson and just move forward. The only thing I can do is put it behind me and move forward for next season, I'm just going to take a 3-week off and then get back to prepare myself for season and stuff, That's the only thing I can do, is prepare myself for the next season, and hopefully nothing like this happen again.
Farquharson's mentor, Dr. Cade Green, says the quarter miler would have been an asset to the team.
You have a man sitting home in Texas who run on the world leading 4x4 this year, which is Texas A&M, which is faster than Jamaica team by far, and Kemar split 44 seconds on 3 separate occasions. So it's a sad situation, and the athlete is himself disappointed. Myself, being part of his team, is also disappointed because being a psychiatrist is aware of the things that can happen with somebody mentally. But thank God Farquharson is a tough lion and pretty much, can just brush it off and refocus.
Dr. Cade Green. Defending champions Jamaica yet to tick the win column in the West Indies Rising Stars Under-19 cricket tournament in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Jamaicans had to settle for a draw against Trinidad and Tobago at Park Hill after rain interrupted today's second and final day of their second round game. Trinidad and Tobago, who resumed on 171 for 7 after a long rain delay, went on to make 250 for 9, and this in reply to Jamaica's first innings 169 for 9 declared for a lead of 81, and batting a second time, Jamaica reached 97 for 2 when the game was called off. The Leewards versus Barbados at Arnos Vale also ended in a draw. So too did the game between the Windward Islands and Guyana at Sion Hill. Jamaica will next be in action starting on Wednesday against the Leeward Islands at Cumberbatch in Game 3. West Indies Test coach Andre Coley is confident his young side can beat England in the second test and level the 3-match series. The Windies will face England in the second test at Trent Bridge, and it's set to start on Thursday. Coley says the players are in high spirits despite the heavy defeat.
The side we have is young and emerging, and as you mentioned before, there's always a lot surrounding a Lord's Test match. But we are keen, we are still very positive about how we are approaching the second test. Everybody's in good spirits. You know, we've been catching up with the players one-on-one. And this will really be the first time that we'll be settled as a squad. There's been quite a bit of activity on and off the field leading up to the first test. And it's been a lot, I can imagine, for some of our players to have been able to absorb. So as I said before, massive learning for everyone, players and staff, and we are still very positive as we head to Nottingham.
And Coley says there were positives to take from the game which the West Indies lost by an innings and 114 runs.
Especially from a batting standpoint, extend longer partnerships. When players actually work hard and get in, that they take responsibility and take it as deep as possible. Yes, we know the conditions will be testing, that's why it's called a test match. We're not playing at home, so conditions are going to be slightly different. But we do have it within our ranks to be at our best and to compete with England. From a bowling standpoint, it actually kept us in the game, and England, I'm sure, would have thought that they could not have just run away with scoring. There were periods in the game where they actually had to show really good application and grit.
Yeah, that's former Kingston College man Andre Coley. And we close with the Olympic Fact. That's a nationwide Olympic Fact. It's sponsored by Fontana Pharmacy.
This is Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Fontana Pharmacy. It's all good inside.
Did you know that Dion Hemmings is the first Jamaican woman to win individual gold at an Olympic Games? Yes, that's a fact. Dion Hemmings created history when she won gold in the women's 400 meters hurdles at the 1996 Olympics in a then Games record time of 52.82 seconds.
That was Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Fontana Pharmacy. It's all good inside.
Yeah, that's the Olympic Fact, an Olympic fact that we have of our own. 11 days to go before the start of the Olympic Games. Can you believe it? 11 days to go. We're counting down for you, all right? That's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
The Office of the Information Commissioner, OIC, is Jamaica's data protection regulator. We're here to ensure large and small, public and private data controllers comply with the Data Protection Act. All data controllers must register with the OIC and process personal data in accordance with the law. Help us create a data-safe society for all. For more information, call us at 876-929-6952. Visit our website at oic.gov.jm. The OIC, your data, your rights protected.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
My name is Kedrin Campbell. I come from the Appleton Basic School. My favorite Olympic hero is Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Watch for Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Looking back now, I say there's no barrier when it comes to your passion and your calling as time honors your greatness. So I thank you so much, and I pray that you'll be an inspiration to all young girls, mainly the girls, to know that there's no limits when you believe what you believe and continue to work hard. We are strong, we are powerful, and most importantly, we are fearless.
It's glorious gold once again to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Stay tuned to the Paris Olympic on Nationwide 90 FM. Yay!
You live the life you love.
Reggae Sumfest is back July 14 to 20. Get ready to turn up the heat and volume on Nationwide 90 FM as we broadcast live from Reggae Sumfest. Nationwide's broadcast kicks off at 8 p.m. on night 1 and night 2 for the Reggae Sumfest. That's 8 p.m. on July 19 and 20. Tune in as we capture the electrifying atmosphere of the Caribbean's largest reggae festival.
These rows of flames are catching a fire.
We'll bring you exclusive interviews with top artists, chat with excited patrons, and describe the hottest performances. Whether you're at the festival or vibing at home, Nationwide 90 FM has you covered. So don't miss a beat or a rhythm when you tune into Nationwide 90 FM at 8 p.m. on July 19 and 20. Experience the ultimate vibe and get your reggae fix with Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by Down Sound Entertainment, Hospital Montego Bay, Fairview Medical and Dental, and Grace Foods.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
We've been a part of everyday Jamaican life for over 25 years. From paydays to birthdays, unexpected emergencies to anniversary celebrations, the supermarket checkout line, or paying a bill or taxes on time. Our fast, secure debit network provides reliable service so you can always depend on Multilink. Jamaican and proud, fast, secure, everywhere.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. I'm Cliff Hughes.
Good afternoon, listeners. I'm Ricardo Brooks. Good afternoon, Sir Cliff.
Good afternoon, Ricardo.
All is well?
Yes, a lot to get through. Former U.S. President Donald Trump says he's supposed to be dead after Saturday evening's assassination attempt at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. A spectator was killed in the attack while 2 other people were seriously injured. The gunman who also died has been identified as a 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks.
Reports are that the U.S. Secret Service snipers killed the shooter after he fired 8 rounds. The former president could be seen touching his ear as the shooting unfolded before he was shielded by Secret Service and whisked off stage with blood on his face and into an SUV to safety. Trump said in a social media post that a bullet pierced the upper part of his right ear.
And in one of his first interviews since the incident, Trump said he felt he had been saved by luck or God. The former president said it was the most incredible thing that he happened to not only turn his head, but to do so at the right time. He says the bullet that grazed his right ear could have easily killed him. Here's the footage of what happened, courtesy of Fox News.
They see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Moving the spear. Hold. When you're ready. On you.
Ready.
Move.
Up.
Move.
Go. Hawkeye's here.
Hawkeye's here. Move to the spear.
Spear, get ready. Spear, get ready.
You ready? Are we good? Shooters down. Are we good to move? We're clear. We're clear. Let's move. We're clear. Come on.
Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold that in your head, it's bloody.
So we gotta move to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
Okay. My shoes down. My shoes. Watch out.
Wait.
Those horrifying scenes at that rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, shortly after 5 last Saturday afternoon. Since then, the former president says he will be tearing up his speech that he had prepared for the opening for the Republican National Convention, which opened today, and he is of the view now that part of his mission is to unite the country. The current President Joseph Biden also has been stressing the need for unity given what took place last Saturday. Now, we're going to be turning to what's happening in America, the state of American democracy, and of course, the news this afternoon that former President Trump has named Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio as his vice presidential pick for the November elections.
What we saw on Saturday, what does it mean for America's democracy and the implications for global security? We're being joined by former U.S. Ambassador to Jamaica, Donald Tapia, and Senior Fellow at the Shorenstein Center at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, Professor Richard Parker. Professor, Ambassador, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Let me begin with you, Professor Parker. For a Jamaican audience, a Caribbean audience, locate for us what's happening in American democracy, especially with the vile and vicious turn that we saw last Saturday.
American democracy has fluctuated in terms of its stability over its entire American history. This has been a country that has changed repeatedly with waves of immigration coming from different parts of the world. We're in the midst of one of those great expansions led by a fourth wave of immigration that's going on right now. As the nation changes, it creates tension, and people who consider themselves to be Americans first look on the new Americans as a danger and a threat. We have lived this kind of fear, and we have lived this kind of threat of violence now at least half a dozen times since the founding of the Republic. That doesn't make it any more bearable or any more attractive or any more conducive to strengthening American democracy. What we have in Donald Trump is a candidate who has taken advantage of those fears, played on those fears, and excited antipathy by describing his political opponents as vermin and talking about millions of immigrants into the country as despicable and deplorable. And what we're seeing is what sustained use of that kind of rhetoric at the top produces at the bottom of American society.
Mm-hmm. And Ambassador Tapia, you've been a donor to Donald Trump. Of course, he chose you to be the point man here in Kingston. First of all, your reaction to what you witnessed on television on Saturday. And then, is the professor right that Donald Trump's rhetoric, yes, is at least partly responsible for where the country is now in terms of division?
Well, I fully disagree with what the gentleman just said. The thing is that what I saw the other night was terrible. We got to always remember that freedom is very delicate, and that's what we have to handle. But when we have two parties that are fighting each other, not coming together, that's one of the things that has happened over the last 25 years, is a separation between people, between colors, between economic basis, and we've seen that, and it's actually fanned by people that you just heard, and also by the press. Read the press, and you'll see that it's not news; it's opinions, and that's what you're hearing is opinions of their personal life or their personal thoughts and so forth.
But Ambassador, it is a fact that Donald Trump has said that immigrants, for example, are poisoning the blood of America. It is a fact that he has said that immigrants are coming to invade and to infest America. He has used that kind of language.
Yes. You know, poisonous language should not be used by any candidate.
And so do you accept that poisonous language has divided the country?
A country is not a country without a border, and we have no border. You cannot just let people come into your country unvetted, and that's what we have done. We have opened our borders to let people come in. We have a system that they could come in through the front door instead of opening the border and having them flooding that we don't even know who's coming into the United States. This is something that, as I said, a country is not a country without a border.
Could you hold it for us there, Professor and Ambassador? Hold the line for us, please. We're up on a break.
Calling all fisher folk and aquaculture farmers. Now you can get your license quick. Log on to iRefins and check out the thing. Use your smartphone and click. Register, pay and get your license. Sign up for iRefins, cause real fishermen have them licensing of them on. Go to irefins.nfa.gov.jm or contact the National Fisheries Authority. iRefins is a joint project of the NFA and the Transformation Implementation Unit.
Welcome back. 14 minutes going up to 6 o'clock. We're talking developments in America, especially with the attempted assassination last Saturday of former President Donald Trump, where the former U.S. ambassador to Jamaica, Donald Tapia, he was appointed by Trump. We also have Professor at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, Professor Richard Parker. Let me pick up with you, Professor Parker. This isn't all about what Trump has said. When the president, Biden, said last week that it's time to focus on Trump with a bullseye, yes, when the American Democrats, the left, say that Trump is an existential threat to the American way of life and to democracy, isn't that there a fact that both sides have so conducted the affairs of American politics over the last 6-8 years that has left the country now with a very fragile democracy?
I honestly don't know how to respond to that. This idea that somehow it's a pox on both your parties and that there's an equal distribution of wrongs misunderstands the entire last 8 or 9 years since Donald Trump has surfaced on the American political scene. He inaugurated his entry into the political scene by claiming that President Obama was not born in the United States and therefore had no constitutional right to be president, which was a lie right from the beginning. He lied about his supposed election in 2020. We know, attempted to use state officials in states like Georgia, where he told the Secretary of State to just go find another 11,000 votes so that he could take the state's electoral votes. He was the president who spoke at the January 6th insurrection that led to an invasion of the Capitol and to the death of a number of people, including Capitol guards. I don't think that there is anything on the Democratic record that compares with that.
But the point, Professor, is that when you single him out as the greatest threat to American democracy and that everything turns on this election and that if he is elected, all hell will break loose, don't you sort of set him up as that kind of existential threat where people may believe that they have to take him out?
Wouldn't it be better to consider the pattern of speaking by him? And
no, but before we consider, I just want an answer to that question. Do you not believe that the way the Democrats have set him up on a pedestal as an existential threat can cause extremists to believe they need to take him out?
I'm sure that there is that possibility, but I, again, don't understand why you think, as a person of the media, that there is an equitability between the behavior of the two parties.
We're not saying that there's equity here at all. Yes, what we are saying.
Well, I think look, I don't want to argue this. I think you are, but go ahead.
All right, but bringing back Ambassador Tapia, yes, where does America go?
Let's put it this way. I just heard a political speech on the on the Democratic side, instead of facing facts, and that's some of the problems that we have with the young people today. Is professors such as what you're hearing today, because as you said, Biden actually has attacked Trump, and Trump, of course, has attacked during this political poisonous time between the two parties instead of coming together. And I think that we need to come together and stop pointing our fingers at each other. It used to be, at my age, we used to see the Goldwaters and so forth, that they fought like hell on the floors of the Senate and on Congress, and then they walked into the courtroom and had a drink with one another and laughed and told jokes and went to dinner with each other. We don't find that today. If you're a Republican, you don't like Democrats. If you're a Democrat, you don't like Republicans. And that's not the American way of life. We have to come together to say, look, we have our differences. We will always have differences. I have differences with the president of with the United States when Donald Trump was president. I had differences with him. I had differences now with Biden when he's on president. There's things that we will never all agree on. If we cannot agree on it, we need to come to a consensus of acceptance of the other person's opinion.
So President Trump says he has rewritten the speech he's to give at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, yes, and he is now wanting to unite the country. First of all, do you believe him? And what should he do to demonstrate that he's serious about that?
I believe that what has taken place, that he understands today that he must do everything to unite the country. To unite the country, and that's bringing the Democrats together and bringing the Republicans together and bringing our politics together. Freedom and liberty is very fragile, and we've seen in other countries how it's been destroyed. We are a great country, and there's no reason why we cannot come together.
When you say freedom,
I have Democratic friends.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Finish your thought.
No, go ahead.
Same question for Professor Parker. Do you believe him when he says he now needs to unite the country? And what must he do? What must he say to convince a lot of people looking on that he, Trump, who has been such a purveyor of violence, violent language, if he is to be taken seriously?
Well, I mean, I would reverse and ask you, or use what you have just asked me, to consider whether or not I should believe him, which is that he has been a source of violent language now for years. His politics have been defined by the violence with which he has spoken, the idea that he would be happy to be a dictator on day one of his presidency, his threat to dismantle the American government, the long list of condemnations in which he's engaged that have gone beyond simple disagreement and run into the area of ad hominem attack and attack on fundamental institutions of government and democracy. So do I think that overnight that he has had an epiphanal moment in Butler, Pennsylvania, that will make him into a new kind of person as well as a new kind of politician? I don't have reason to believe it. I will be listening carefully as he speaks, trying to judge what has changed, if anything. But at the moment, no.
Ambassador, when you say freedom is fragile and liberty is fragile, democracy is fragile, on January 6, 2021, didn't Donald Trump know that when he summoned a mob to Washington and did nothing when they stormed the U.S. Capitol?
And shouted,
if I may,
hang
shouted, the vice president,
hang Mike Pence.
Didn't he know that then, that liberty and freedom and democracy were fragile?
In fact, the vice president's been at my house twice, so to talk about Pence, the first thing is, if you look at it, and if you really read into it, Donald Trump, the president at the time, offered the Speaker of the House, because she is in charge, or the Speaker is in charge of the House. A lot of people don't realize that and don't recognize that. But she says, I can handle it, when he actually volunteered to put a military garrison there at the Capitol. She turned him down. Now, what's the professor got to say about that? She turned him down.
But what do you have to say about the fact that he summoned the problem in the first place? He should have allowed the process to come to run its course, as every other American president has before him.
Why wasn't he there for the inauguration of President Biden, but instead left early in a characteristically petulant and anti-institutional display of his contempt for the important process of handing off power from a former president to a new president? Where was he? He was in Mar-a-Lago, not in Washington, where he should have been.
Doesn't that show a lack of commitment to...
That's his opinion.
No, but we're asking you, doesn't that show a lack of commitment to the process?
He wasn't there.
Well, I've talked to Pence on many occasions on this issue. Pence would not leave the Capitol. He said, "I'm going to be here," and he stayed there. When Pence, but you got to keep in mind that the president of the United States at that time was Trump, and I'm not defending all of his actions, but he did offer military assistance to the Speaker of the House. Nancy Pelosi said, "No, I can handle it," and she rejected it. Do you understand? It's like a state, and the professor should know that if something happens in a state, the state has to ask the federal government to come in and intercede to help them. That's fact. That's the way of government. He cannot just send troops in over the advice or over the will of the governor of the state. Now he studies history. He's a history major, but I've never heard a political speech as I've heard from this person, and that is not what we're looking for. What you're looking for is, how do we bring things together? How do we make things better? Do you believe Donald Trump? Do you believe Joe Biden? Well, if he wants to get political, all he's got to do is look at Joe Biden's history. He has lied, and I don't like saying that about a president. And that's written down, and that's history.
Well, thank you for bringing us together.
Professor?
We need to come together, Republicans and Democrats.
Professor, I heard you say. Professor?
Again, I'm at a loss. I just heard the ambassador talk about President Biden as lying, and I don't think that that's going to bring people together. If there's a formula...
I agree with that. I do not agree with that. I said I do not like saying this about the President of the United States.
Ambassador Tapia,
you brought up a lot of things against Donald Trump.
Ambassador
Tapia, if you look at the history.
But hold on, Ambassador Tapia. Who lies more than Donald Trump? Frankly, in a 90-minute debate 3 weeks ago, he lied 30 times. 30 times.
What was the issue?
He just kept on lying.
What was the issue?
On a range of issues.
Yes. He lied about what happened on January 6th. He lied about what's happening at the border. He just keeps on lying. He's a congenital liar.
So you're saying that Donald Trump lied about the border?
Donald Trump, I'm saying, Ambassador Tapia, is not familiar with the truth.
Are you contributing to Donald Trump's 2024 campaign, Ambassador?
Donald Trump was building a wall to stop the fentanyl and illegals coming across the border. That's fact. What I said about, and I preface it, about saying that Biden has lied throughout his career. I said I do not like to say that. I wished I would not have said that, but it's factual. And all I'm doing is trying to talk to you about factual. You can look at that. You can fact check me.
Yes, but you haven't said that Donald Trump is a liar, proven over and over.
I haven't said that. I haven't. See, you have not pointed out where on January the 6th he offered security for the Capitol.
All right, we're running out of.
I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware of that.
We're running out of time, and I want to know, Ambassador, are you?
Wait, that's a fact. That's a fact check. Look, you can fact check that.
We will, but we're running out of time.
You can fact check that.
Let me ask you this: are you still a donor to Donald Trump?
Am I still a donor
to his campaign?
I donated $1. I have not donated $1 to Donald Trump in this cycle.
If he wins the election and he asks you to return to your post in Kingston, would you accept?
No.
Why not?
And the reason for it, at my age, I would not return. I have asked if I would return to Jamaica, and I said no, not at my age.
Okay. Well, you've been asked. Okay.
I think today to show what we need is he picked Vance. Would that been my pick? Probably not, but yet I pick up that we need new leadership. We need young leadership. Mm-hmm. We need people in Vance's age group and so forth to lead us forward.
Yes.
If you look at the Senate, you look at the leadership, look at the age. Do they understand, and I'm talking about across the board, Republicans and Democrats, do they understand the conditions of the young people today, the people that are struggling to raise a family, to get jobs, in the future of the young ones? Mm-hmm. That's my point.
Professor Parker,
do I accept it?
Complete your thought, Ambassador. Are you completed?
Well,
okay. All right.
Yeah,
Professor.
I'll say yeah. I'll let the professor spew all his nastiness against the ex-president.
Professor,
and defend the current president.
Professor Parker. What do you make of the...
I want to thank the ambassador for the language that would encourage bipartisanship in that last burst against me. I fully agree with the ambassador about the need for younger leaders. I wish that America had a choice between younger leaders. And I'm sorry that you on Jamaica Radio have a couple of Medicare-eligible characters carrying out this debate. The country does need to move on, but it needs to move on past Donald Trump, and it needs to move on past the poison that he has injected into the American political system for us to actually have a country of which we can be proud.
What do you make of his vice presidential pick, Senator J.D. Vance, Professor?
Well, I teach at Harvard, and Mr. Vance went to Yale Law, so I suppose there's a limit there to what I can say genteel. But what I would worry about is what reporters will find when they look back on what Vance had to say about President Trump when early on Vance was one of the never-Trumpers. I think Senator Vance should be asked to explain what the epiphanal moment has been that has caused him to flip 180 degrees. Mm-hmm. But we shall see. The contest is still open, and we've got several months to go.
Okay, thank you very much,
Professor. I agree with you. That's a question that I think is fair and should be asked. I do. I have no problem with that at all. But yet, I look at where he teaches at Harvard. Look what happened at Harvard between Israel and the Palestinians.
Okay, that's for another occasion. Former U.S. ambassador to Jamaica.
That's another occasion, but yet it still falls back on education. It falls back on what is being taught
Yes. For
within our university.
for another evening, we're out of time, Ambassador Tapia. We also need to say thanks to Senior Fellow at the Schorstein Center at Harvard Kennedy School of Government, Professor Richard Parker. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
My thanks to you, and my thanks to the
Thank you,
gentlemen.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
We ended on a bit of unity there. So that's good. A bit of bipartisanship.
Right.
4 minutes after 6. The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Say hello to peace of mind and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan and secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness today. Call 888-367-5433 for details.
The time by Guardian Life is
5 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. The Jamaica Association of Public Health Inspectors says it has ramped up efforts to prevent an increase in mosquito breeding sites across the island. This follows the passage of Hurricane Beryl over a week ago. Michael Miles is the president of the association.
Our activities have been heightened to try and be proactive, especially in the heavy hit areas of the southern area. We would have conducted a joint intervention where all vector control workers and other workers went into each affected area doing education, a search and destroy. And in the searching and destroying, we realized that one of the challenges is that persons are not complying with the messages. We are talking, but with the level of breeding that we are seeing, we realize that householders are not responding positively to the messages.
He added that fogging activities are also being done during peak breeding hours.
What we have to be doing too is to increase adulticidal activities in the morning, because along the coastal areas especially, it's windy, and so it's difficult for the fogging to work. It will just be blown away in the wind and not be effective. So presently we are doing morning fogging at dusk and dawn, because these are the peak feeding hours of the mosquitoes, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. in the morning, and between the hours of 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the evening.
Michael Miles, president of Jaffe. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says the government's excess rainfall policy with Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility, CRIF, has been triggered. He says this will result in a payout of $1.6 billion. Minister Clark explained that Jamaica's original tropical cyclone policy with CRIF was done in a manner that weakened its effectiveness.
The way in which we started out, we're trying to have CRIF cover too much area. Right? We had sort of one layer in our disaster risk insurance, and we expected it to cover everything from low intensity to high intensity storms, from low frequency to high frequency. And, our CRIF policy was basically overworked and overburdened, and, it just couldn't cover that entire area. And that's why you need multiple layers. The policies today, George, we have, our CRIF policies have what they call an attachment point.
Dr. Clark says through the government's negotiations with CRIF, Jamaica has seen 2 payouts in the past 4 years, as opposed to 1 in 13 years under the previous policy.
The multi-layered framework is working.
Yes.
It is showing its value. 4 of the 5 layers have been triggered. And what we have to do, George, is to keep it up for decades to come. It took 13 years for us to have the first trigger from our CRIF policy. The sentiment against CRIF became very, very negative after that experience of 5 hurricanes, and it did not trigger. We didn't throw away the CRIF. We didn't abandon the CRIF. What we did was to engage with them, and policy parameters were optimized, updated, etc. And, look, we've had 2 payouts in the last 4 years, and I fully expect that we're going to have another payout on our excess rainfall policy. So let's see what happens there. I can't be definite, but I expect that it's going to happen.
Dr. Nigel Clark, Minister of Finance. The Consumer Affairs Commission, CAC, says the teams have been deployed across the island to collect data on the prices of goods following the passage of Hurricane Beryl. The routine survey forms part of the CAC's efforts to curb the incidence of price gouging. Price gouging is the practice of charging customers a too high a price for goods or services, especially when demand is high and supplies are limited. Dorothy Campbell is the communications specialist at the CAC.
During the Atlantic hurricane season, we do a pre and post. So we usually do pre-hardware prices and we add some other items to our grocery survey. And after an event, we go out and do another survey in order for our economists to do a comparative analysis of the pricing that they find across the country. This event occurred so quickly, and the fallout was that we didn't have electricity, the roads weren't safe, and so on. So the post survey is going on now, and so when that is ready, it's usually posted on our website so consumers can go online, do their own comparisons, and decide when and where is the best place to shop.
While there's been no formal report of price gouging, Ms. Campbell is reminding citizens that there are fines for persons found guilty of the act.
What has been happening is that some consumers have been posting on social media, but it's very vague. So what we try to encourage them to do is to go to our website at www.cac.gov.jm. The drop-down complaint form, complete that so we can have location, we can have the item, we can have the price they paid, and also to attach copies of their receipt as evidence that they did pay that price. And anyone found guilty of the action of price gouging can be fined up to $1 million.
Dorothy Campbell, communications specialist at the CAC. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shaloy Smichael. Sports is next.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
We've been a part of everyday Jamaican life for over 25 years. From paydays to birthdays, unexpected emergencies to anniversary celebrations, the supermarket checkout line, or paying a bill or taxes on time. Our fast, secure debit network provides reliable service so you can always depend on Multilink. Jamaican and proud, fast, secure, everywhere.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Shelley Ann Fraser Price is among 14 Jamaicans entered to compete at the World Athletics Continental Track and Field meeting in Lucerne, Switzerland tomorrow. Fraser Price, who will be competing at her last Olympic Games in Paris this summer, will run in the women's 100 meters at the Spitzenlichten Athletic alongside compatriots Serena Cole, Brianna Williams, Jodine Williams, Crystal Slowly, Sasha Lee Forbes, Kishona Niles, and Kemba Nelson. The men's 100 will have former national champion Rowan Watson, national record holder Rasheen McDonald is down for the men's 400 meters, while Stacey Ann Williams runs in the women's race. Reigning world champion Daniel Williams and Amoy Brown will compete in the 100 meters hurdles, while on the men's side, the national champion Rashid Broadbell is the only Jamaican entered for the event. Lana Tava Thomas will run in the women's 200 meters, where Serena Cole and Jodine Williams will also have lanes. Former Calabar High School standout Kimar Farquharson remains disappointed, but he says he has accepted the J3's apology after the blunder, which resulted in him being removed from the team that was selected to represent Jamaica at the Paris Olympic Games. Farquharson was selected as a reserve for the mixed open 4x400 meters relay. Anthony Cox of Chase Athletics was brought in as Farquharson's replacement. The Texas A&M athlete has informed Nationwide Sports that he's fully fit and training, and he says there are 3 members of the J3As, including its president Garth Gale and Lincoln Eatman, have since reached out to him, stating that the decision cannot be reversed.
They apologized to me and explained the situation, and looking forward, everything should be okay, Like, I'm just hoping that everything work out next year. I don't have nothing like this to worry about again, Like, this is like an experience, I'm just going to take this as a lesson and just move forward. Only thing I can do is put it behind me and move forward for next season, I'm just going to take a 3-week off and then get back to prepare myself for season and stuff, That's the only thing I can do, is prepare myself for the next season, and hopefully nothing like this happen again.
Farquharson's mentor, Dr. Cade Green, says the quarter miler would have been an asset to the team.
You have a man sitting home in Texas who run on the world leading 4x4 this year, which is Texas A&M, which is faster than Jamaica team by far, and Kemar split 44 seconds on 3 separate occasions. So it's a sad situation, and the athlete is himself disappointed. Myself, being part of his team, is also disappointed because being a psychiatrist is aware of the things that can happen with somebody mentally. But thank God Parkinson is a tough lion and pretty much, can just brush it off and refocus.
That's Cade Green. 2004 Olympic 100 meters champion Justin Gatlin credits Veronica Campbell-Brown with Jamaica's dominance in women's sprinting. Campbell-Brown has 8 Olympic medals, 3 gold, 3 silver and 2 bronze. She also won 11 World Championship medals, 3 gold, 7 silver and a bronze. Speaking on his podcast, Ready, Set, Go, Gatlin says Campbell-Brown is one of the most committed athletes he is known.
It was at a time that I watched her train almost every day. She would train right across the track from us. I never understood how someone could be so fierce and go out there train by themselves. You remember, she had no training partner. She would train by herself. She would go out there and hit the times, hit the marks, and just be so fierce with her training as if she was really competing against another individual right next to her. And in my mind, I'm thinking how do you even keep up pace? How do you even know what pace is? Because you're not running against anybody. No one's out there to push you. But she would go into track meets and she'd go out there and still lay those 10.8s, 10.7s, and she'd go out there and still dominate and still run fast, bro.
Justin Gatlin. Defending champions Jamaica yet to tick the win column in the West Indies Rising Stars under-19 cricket tournament in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Jamaicans had to settle for a draw against Trinidad and Tobago at Park Hill after rain interrupted today's second and final day of their second round game. Trinidad and Tobago, who resumed at 171 for 7 after a long rain delay, went on to make 250 for 9 in reply to Jamaica's first innings 169 for 9 declared. The Trinis took a lead of 81, and batting a second time, Jamaica reached 97 for 2 when the game was called off. The Leewards versus Barbados at Arnes Vale also ended in a draw, so too the game between the Windward Islands and Guyana at Sion Hill. Jamaica will next be in action starting Wednesday against the Leeward Islands at Cumberbatch. West Indies Test coach Andre Coley is confident his young side can beat England in the second test at Trent Bridge starting on Thursday. Coley says the players are in high spirits despite the massive innings and 114-run defeat against the English.
The side we have is young and emerging, and as you mentioned before, there's always a lot surrounding a Lord's Test match. But we are keen, we are still very positive about how we are approaching the second test. Everybody's in good spirits. We've been catching up with the players one-on-one. And this will really be the first time that we'll be settled as a squad. There's been quite a bit of activity on and off the field leading up to the first test. And it's been a lot, I can imagine, for some of our players to have been able to absorb. So as I said before, massive learning for everyone, players and staff. And we are still very positive as we head to Nottingham.
West Indies Test coach Andre Coley. Defending champions Manchester Spurs and Kingston Hummingbirds were winners in the final set of games and the preliminary round of the Red Stripe Flavors Netball Jamaica Elite League at the Stadium Courts last night. The Spurs secured their 7th win of the season, beating St. Catherine Racers 43-35. Captain Giselle Allison led the scoring. She picked up 39 points, while Chantal Slater was named the Powerade Power Play Shooter of the match with 14 from 15 attempts. Meanwhile, the Hummingbirds stopped the St. Anne Orchids 51-43. Simone Gordon scored 40 points. Sean Fraser has walked away from his position as assistant coach of Harborview Football Club. The Stars of the East recently announced Jason Henry as the club's new head coach for the 24-25 Jamaica Premier League season, which kicks off in October. Henry, who will be making his debut as a coach at any level, holds a CONCACAF B license. The head coach position became vacant when the long-standing coach Luddy Bernard walked away from the sidelines to take up administrative work at the club. Fraser, who served as Bernard's assistant, feels slighted by the decision to promote physical trainer Henry over him for the head coaching job.
Normally, when the head coach steps down in any professional league, what the owners do is appoint the assistant coach as a caretaker manager at the moment until they search. So it wasn't a thing of application or anything, because if that was the case, then I would be first ballot, because, you know, I coached with Mr. Bernard. I know Mr. Bernard and the club since I was 7-8 years old. So for me, I don't think they had put anything out there to say that they have an interview process or anything like that. They just went ahead and just select. And I just see disrespectful and a slap in my face for so many work I've put in with the club, and also knowing that I've won the Premier League with Mr. Bernard as his top assistant. So it's just too much things happening at one point. I just think that out of respect and what I've done for the club in my playing career and my coaching career, I think you should just have a conversation with me to say, Sean, this is the way that we're going. Give me that opportunity to stay or go.
And Fraser says the manner in which he was overlooked left him with no option but to leave the club because the players would have no confidence in him.
It's very disrespectful to see that I've been coaching with the club for over 5 seasons. I share the spot with 2 head coaches, which is Damien Stewart and then Mr. Ludlow Bernard. So I've been the assistant to both. For me personally, just think that getting a qualification as a CONCACAF B license and getting yourself prepared, playing so much football overseas, 15 years professionally, and now coaching with some of the best coaches in the league. I just thought that I'm prepared and ready. For you to go and just choose the physical coaching, and no disrespect to him, because he didn't appoint himself. But for me personally, I think it's just a slap in the face and a disrespect. You're telling the public that basically Sean Fraser isn't ready. And when you're going to do that now, then the players that are coming in are not going to respect you. And if you have players that doesn't respect you, then it doesn't make any sense to be a coach.
Yeah, that's the man they call Materon, Sean Fraser, and one of the coaches that he worked under, Damien Stewart. His name is Stu Pease. It's now time for the Nationwide Olympic Fact. It's sponsored by Rainforest Caribbean.
This is Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean. Make delicious moments.
Did you know that Janelle Atkinson was the first Jamaican female swimmer to reach an Olympic final? Yes, that's a fact. Atkinson made history on September 17 at age 17 at the 2000 Sydney Olympics. Competing in the 400 meters freestyle, she set the national record of 4 minutes 09.61 seconds to be third from the qualifying rounds. In the final, she placed fourth in a still-standing national record of 4 minutes 08.79 seconds. She was not only the first Jamaican woman, but also the first Caribbean woman to make that final.
That was Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Rainforest Caribbean. Make delicious moments.
And that's sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:22.
For hard-to-get medications, over-the-counter and chemotherapy drugs, visit Dean's Pharmacy Pepin. When others don't have it, we do. Dean's Pharmacy. Feeling better starts right here.
The temperature by Dean's Pharmacy, feeling better, starts right here is
32 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 30 in the western city, Montego Bay.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose fittings and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
This summer, transform your summer body with Express Fitness Gym. For just $9,500 on AutoPay, you'll get access to all our locations 24/7. Enjoy free classes, fully air-conditioned facilities, showers, and changing rooms. Plus, our certified trainers are here to help you reach your goals. Visit Express Fitness Gym today. Your goal is our mission. Find a location near you or sign up now at pay.expressfitnessja.com.
I pursue opportunities.
I prepare for opportunities.
I plan for opportunities.
With Sagicor e-Invest, you can prepare, plan for, and pursue IPO opportunities. Browse IPOs, review IPO details and prospectuses. Select and apply for a featured IPO.
I-P-O.
With Sagicor e-Invest. Think wealth. Visit sagicor.com.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Gouging Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Mahiri Stewart. A special good evening to our friends on YouTube. We invite you to also weigh in on today's Public Opinion in our wonderful live comment section. All right, folks. So, former U.S. President Donald Trump says he is supposed to be dead after Saturday's assassination attempt at a rally in Pennsylvania. In one of his first interviews since the incident, Trump told conservative U.S. media that he felt he had been saved by luck or by God. Trump says it was the most incredible thing that he happened to not only turn his head, but to do so at the right time. He says the bullet that grazed his ear could have easily killed him. A spectator was killed in the attack, while 2 other people were seriously injured. The gunman, who has also died, has been named as Thomas Matthew Crooks. Therefore, in Public Opinion, we're asking you, the public, what's your reaction to the attempted assassination of former U.S. President Donald Trump?
Hey, don't be surprised I'll even set up that in there. That man in a rob still no.
If him ever turn the next way on the podium, in bed, I turn him head, you know, and attack, you know, and the bullet fly pan it passing ears, you know, man, and graze him, you know. Yo, me, I tell you, him lucky, because of a headshot that I come directly for him head. But I say, turn him head, man, time never turn up straight. Mad. I say lucky like whoa, that may I tell you.
I know we might win the election, you know, cause I tell you, I like people them what did never like him and I say either think them I go out with, you know. I try to kill off the man. I agree, say he might not want him to be president, but him not deserve for dead though.
Everybody has said it's a setup for him to get votes and sympathy votes. Everybody said the same thing because you look at the Secret Service people, them not even look surprised and shocked. Like what just happened. Even when a Secret Service lady lecture smile. No man, that seemed like a setup to me, man, for real.
Well, there you have it, folks. Let's take a look at our social media platforms. We start with X. All right. Doogie the Goat says the shooter did not get enough training lessons. All right. What else we have here? Griot says, you don't want to know. Trust me. Diva Lady 3 says the shooter needed more lessons. Yeah. Professional Punter said they tried everything else and he only got popular. All right. D says it was staged. Damian Meek says it couldn't have happened to a worser human being. Elon Musk admirer says, whether we like it or not, this attempted assassination has just installed him as the 47th president of the United States of America. All right, folks. So that's X. Let's go over to Instagram, see what folks are saying over there. Then we do Facebook, then we do YouTube, then we get out of here, yeah? All right, on Nationwide 90 FM's Instagram page. How many comments we got? Not too many. We can go on. All right, so Shambhala 1994 says the Secret Service putting the ketchup on his ear was epic for me. All right, man. Wealthy Youth 101 says it looked staged. Jet Slate says a lot of people are saying they have no idea how the shooter missed. All right. And yeah, that's what we have on Instagram. And lastly, we check Facebook and then we check the YouTube comments. Hopefully the YouTubers are discussing. Yes, I want to see some conversations when I check there. All right, here we are. Facebook. Let's see what Facebook has for me. So again, the question is, what's your reaction to the attempted assassination of Donald Trump? Barbara Johnson says, I'm surprised it was a U.S. citizen and not an immigrant. His rhetoric is filled with violence. Oh dear. Philip Harrison says he had it coming. What you sow, you reap in life. Remember the January 6 victims that lost their life. What else do we have here? Elida Ruddock says, glad he wasn't hurt greatly, but he must now stop fueling the flames of hate in the country. CJ says, the question is, why are some people saying they're sorry the shooter missed? And Philip Jackson says, I condemn any kind of violence against anyone without reservation, but when it comes to Trump, he got a dose of his own medicine from his own kind. All right, folks, there we have it. Yeah, that's social media saying. But what are the YouTubers saying? Yeah, let's have a look-see. Okay, Cheesed Man says, I think these comments are irresponsible. What's your opinion on the assassination attempt, Cheesed Man? Are you... do you believe it was a hoax, as many are saying? Or do you believe it was just a rogue person trying to take out Donald Trump? What we have here, Villa says, Trump is the greatest actor ever. Yeah. Carlton Francis says, this was staged. Yeah. And one thing I realized, a lot of people saying it was staged, and they're using the fact that he held his right ear after the shot and there was no blood there or something. I think that's one of the main reasons I'm seeing for those who say that this was staged. But I don't know, man. Personally, I don't think it was staged. All right, as you just see in the comment section, there are a lot of people out there that not a fan of Donald Trump. Yeah, so is it really crazy to believe that somebody who does not like Donald Trump is capable of doing this? Yeah. Let's see what we have here. Aisha Morgan says there's too much hate in this world. Lamour Pinnock says, just imagine what the story would be if it was a black man or an Arab Muslim. All right. Leroy Rutty said, Mahiri bless you, my brother. We're discussing the invincible pearl, sir. Is that a nickname for Trump? Do people call him that? Do people call him the invincible pearl? Or is that is that a reference I don't understand? Let's see. Facts says, does the Republican Party still believe in the gun laws in the U.S. in light of what happened to Donald Trump? That's what Facts is saying, yeah? Donovan says Trump only concern was to get him his shoes, yeah? What else we have here? David Nebar says, what goes around comes around, yeah? What else we have? Oh, here we go. Villa says Trump has surpassed Ronald Reagan as an actor. All right, man. Still going through, still trying to see if there's anything else here that I can read before we get out of here. But yeah, man, it seems as though it's a split opinion publicly right now, yeah? People are saying, yeah, exactly. Here comes Strongling. Strongling says, persons died and seriously hurt. I don't think it was staged. And that's what I'm trying to understand, because when it comes to the staged argument, are you saying that the shooter intentionally missed? Is that your argument for saying it was staged? Are you saying it was an intentional miss by the shooter? Is it that the shooter never intended to hit Trump's head? You know? There's a lot of things that need to be answered. Personally, I don't think it was staged, yeah? I think whoever was the shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, I think he just wasn't a fan of Trump and was legitimately trying to kill him. And if Trump didn't turn his head the way he did in that split second, he would have been killed. Alas, he was not, yes? And that's why we're talking about it as an attempted assassination attempt. But yes, we've gone through the comments, as always, here on Public Opinion. Thank you so much, as always, for filling up the comment section to give us this wonderful discussion. Well, maybe not wonderful today, yeah? But still. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for tuning into Public Opinion. But don't go anywhere, because it's time for the business report.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Gouging Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:33.
Don't let poor vision hold your children back. IQ Optical gives complimentary standard reflection-free lenses to children and teachers until May 31. Conditions apply.
The temperature by IQ Optical is...
It is 32 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, says the Jamaican economy grew by 1.4% in the first quarter of the fiscal year. The information is contained in the Institute's quarterly review of the country's gross domestic product. Statin says the goods-producing industries grew by 1.9%, while the services industries grew by 1.3%. Statin says growth in the goods-producing industries was mainly driven by increased output in agriculture, forestry, and fisheries, which recorded growth of 7.4%. Mining and quarrying also boosted the performance of the goods-producing industries, recording robust growth of 18.7%. Meanwhile, Statin says overall, the economy recorded 0.3% growth in the first quarter of 2024 when compared to the fourth quarter of 2023. It says the Jamaican economy grew by 1.9% for the 2023-2024 fiscal year when compared to 2022-2023 fiscal year. And internationally, shares in Donald Trump's social media company have surged after he survived an assassination attempt on Saturday. Shares in Trump Media, which runs the Truth Social platform, closed up about 31%. The price had risen as much as 70% in pre-market trading over the weekend before falling back again. Analysts said the gains reflected bets that the shooting had improved Mr. Trump's chances of winning the U.S. presidential election in November. A bullet caught the former president's ear during one of his election rallies shortly before the gunman was shot dead by a Secret Service sniper. And finally, in the currency markets, at the close of trading today, it cost 156 Jamaican dollars and 72 cents to buy $1. It cost 203 Jamaican dollars and 48 cents to buy £1 British pound, and it cost 115 Jamaican dollars and 81 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Stay tuned.
Feeling stuck in endless paperwork to secure a small business loan from a bank? Access Financial Services can unlock your growth with an SME loan. Borrow up to $20 million with easy requirements and fast approvals. Whether you are ready to boost productive capacity, get working capital, or acquire real estate, say goodbye to the hassle and hello to growth. Grow your business with an SME loan up to $20 million from Access Financial Services. Call 876-929-9253 or visit accessfinanceonline.com. Conditions apply.
The Jamaica Observer is always ahead. But did you know we're also number one by far? With over 18 million page views on our website, over 800,000 followers on Instagram, and a following of over 500,000 followers on Twitter,
We're tapping into an audience like no other.
and the numbers don't lie. Contact the Jamaica Observer team today to reach your target audience. Give us a call at 470-9172 to advertise with us.
The number one by far.
Jamaica, it's here again. Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. Come get your wires, breakers, solar flood lamps, LED bulbs, ceiling fans, and so much more. Call 876-937-5099 or visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, Draxall, and Montego Bay. Up to 60% off this summer. Get your solar panels starting from $17,600. Come shop, come save at Fosridge Super Summer Sale, July 1 to August 31. See you there at Fosridge. Open Sundays.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
As a parent, you give your children a good start in life. You nurture, protect, and guide them. Parenting is a process that prepares your child for independence. As your child grows and develops, there are many things you can do to help your child. Stay tuned to The Big Show, nationwide this morning, for parenting tips. Fridays at 6:53 a.m. Only here will you learn everything you need to know about parenting. Tips to help parents navigate the incredibly challenging and rewarding journey of child rearing. Parenting tips on Nationwide at 90 FM, the revolution in media.
My name is Dujan. I come from Appleton Basic School. My Olympic hero is Usain Bolt.
Away cleanly. Bolt has got a very good start indeed.
One of my mottos is that, anything is possible. Don't think limits on that. And I feel that I've proven that throughout the years. I never thought I would be this great at what I've done. But I want to say to the young kids growing up, just live your dream. Work hard, stay focused, and just be strong and just keep on pushing and it will come true. So thank you.
Watch the clock. It's goal for Bolt. And again, he's done it again. A new world record for Usain Bolt.
Stay tuned to the Paris Olympic at Nationwide 90 FM.
Chewy flavor with delight. It really, really nice. May I have to say it twice.
The time by Jamaica Mountain Peak Golden Turmeric Latte is...
It's 6:40.
Nation's Business is brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Good evening. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. It's time for the Nation's Business. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Cliff Hughes.
Did I sing a while ago?
No.
Oh.
I cannot sing.
No, I know that, so I just wanted to caution you not to try. All right, listeners, we're turning our attention now to the fact that there are 100 new JUTC buses on the island. And we're going to get an update on the electricity restoration efforts.
Yes. Good for you.
Energy Minister Darrell Vaz says there's now a crisis situation regarding the restoration of electricity to JPS customers who were impacted by the passage of Hurricane Beryl. Approximately 26,000 customers outside of St. Elizabeth remain without power. Minister Vaz says this week will be critical. He says he wants to see a framework that sees the worst affected areas of the country getting its electricity restored. The minister joins us now. Good evening, Minister.
Good afternoon, Cliff.
Good evening,
Ricardo. Good afternoon to you, listeners.
Tell me, what's the very latest with the restoration efforts of JPS?
All right, so I got a report, or a detailed report, obviously, which was for today. As it stands now, including the hardest hit areas, we have 50, as of this morning, 55,400 JPS customers awaiting restoration. That's right across the island, including the hardest hit areas. The issue that I have is that there are too many pockets across Jamaica that were not heavily impacted by Beryl in terms of infrastructure damage that still don't have light. And when you get into a situation now where you're gone 10 days, 12 days, whatever it is, then obviously it becomes, as I said before, a crisis. I'm going to have a call with JPS tomorrow morning to get exactly where they are now from the 55,400. But the problem is that the complaints are coming in fast and furious in relation to persons who don't have electricity, and most of them, as a result, don't have any water. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing, based on the report, that only 52% of the NWC critical pumps are back up. Again, that's right across the country. Flow is at 49% restoration from 658 sites. They now have 324 backup. In terms of Digicel, who has 96
sites, they have a better. They have 63%. They have 60 sites that are back up. But say what I feel, Cliff and Ricardo, is that the frustration rightfully is building, and the fact of the matter is that although we are doing extremely well if you compare us to other weather events in the past and what other countries are doing, we are moving fast. But the bottom line is that we need to get these.
Go back to those JPS numbers, Minister. 55,500 JPS customers still without electricity. Yes? How many of those 55,400 are in the worst affected parish of St. Elizabeth that must be treated as a special case?
Let me just check back again. I think if I recall what I posted, the information I had up to yesterday was that there was so restoration. Okay, so you want so let's go to
St. Elizabeth.
Clarendon. St. Elizabeth. Okay, I'm just looking through here. If I remember correctly.
Yes, I'm looking through the document. I'm not seeing St. Elizabeth actually. Clarendon 6,147.
No, I think St. Elizabeth is
by itself somewhere else. Okay.
From them. Right.
What I'm trying to establish.
I think it's 26,000 Cliff out of the 55,000.
Are in St. Elizabeth?
Already, yeah.
Okay.
That belt.
So you have another 29,000 outside of St. Elizabeth without power. Right. And what is the timeline are they giving you now that they're working with? Because if you take out St. Elizabeth...
The timeline for the badly affected areas, the rollout for that is latest August 5th.
Yes.
For
full
restoration.
Yes.
And for the areas outside of...
You mean St. Elizabeth?
For St. Elizabeth and
parts of
St.
Clarendon
Elizabeth,
as well.
Yes, well, I mean, yeah, and especially the badly hit parts in Mitchelltown and Rocky Point, etc. So that's August 5th. But restoration, as you know, has started already. So it's a work in progress.
But let me ask you, Minister, Kingston and St. Andrew, I'm seeing where they have some communities here, they could get back light as far as July 30. Have they been able to explain why so long in the capital?
So that's what I want to get into tomorrow morning, because the bottom line is that they got this report came to me after midday today.
Okay.
And I've got a chance to go through them. We'll go through it tonight, but tomorrow morning they're going to have to answer me the questions exactly like what you're asking, because the fact of the matter is that, as you know, the areas that were not badly affected, there's many pockets across Jamaica that are still without electricity. Some of them just right off of the main roads, some of them right in the off of the townships, etc. Which basically, to me, should be up by now.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
I want to commend you on the communication around this. But as you well know, Minister, the frustration is building. Telling somebody in Kingston that they have to wait, or St. Andrew that they have to wait until July 30, really does seem inordinate.
Well, truth be told, as I said before, I have now labeled this as a crisis, and therefore I'm setting a foundation that if I don't get the proper answers and performance, then we're going to have to move to the next stage. No two ways about that.
And
no two ways about that.
And Minister, what is at the core of the problem for JPS now? And I'm separating out here St. Elizabeth, because we know that was the worst hit parish. But outside of St. Elizabeth, yes, why is it proving such a challenge to return those areas like we just mentioned in the corporate area?
Yes, they have assured me up to Friday evening when I went to the control room and spent 2.5 hours there, where they showed me their plan in real time, that they have everything to do the job. And based on that, I'm going to hold them to that. They went as far as to tell me that they went outside of the regular contractors, subcontractors that they have. They got more, and they also communicated with the bauxite companies, who also have given them resources to assist, both in terms of specialized services and obviously human resources and equipment. So the thing is, I just want to assure the country that, especially those in the hard-hit area, that while we continue in Kingston and the other parishes that have been restored in term mainly, that we do know that these people are suffering immensely. Those in the hard-hit areas and those who do not have electricity, because it doesn't matter as to what the reason is for you not having electricity. If you don't have it,
you just don't
for
have it.
For an extended period, as we are now going into this week, then it's a problem. It's a huge problem. It's a crisis for me.
Yeah. I see some of our YouTubers asking us about specific communities. The minister has posted a very extensive document that gives a very good breakdown, community by community, parish by parish.
I want to qualify that.
I
want to qualify that.
Go ahead.
Because the fact of the matter is that report, and I stated Friday that I wanted them to list every community and every district in every parish.
Yes.
When I reviewed my own Portland today, there was at least 25 to 30 districts that were not in the document.
Oh.
And therefore that causes me concern either that they are not aware that they don't have light, or they have not provided me with a fulsome document.
Oh, because I was going to make this available to our listeners via our website. So you're saying...
Absolutely. And that's the exact reason why I asked them to do it, and that's why I don't want an incomplete document. So that this document has to be updated so that when it is put on the website or when it is on social media, people can look for their district, they can look for their road.
Oh, we lost the minister. Yeah, it does, Cliff, list community, the parishes, and then it goes into specific communities, and it tells you what the status is, and it tells you what the proposed restoration dates are. So I think it would be good for our listeners and our viewers to see this, but if the minister is saying that he believes this document to be incomplete, we should wait for him to get an update, and then we can post it. It's very detailed, and I think it would be helpful. We're trying to reconnect with the minister, but I think it would be helpful. Especially for those who, they say they're not hearing anything. And, of course, you get the calls in the days about, different communities and different roads and that kind of a thing. So it's specific in that kind of granular.
He's back. Minister?
Yeah, sorry about that. No, what I was saying is that this document is not a fulsome document.
Okay.
And I want people who are affected to be able to look at this document wherever they find it, whichever website, whichever social media, and be able to pinpoint the area that they are living in and be able to see some kind of indication as it relates to restoration. So, for argument's sake, I have sent back my document to them, to asking them to add as it relates to Portland, and I've asked all MPs on both sides to do the same for me, because the bottom line is that they have to tell me that they have these communities on the radar and they have dates. If they don't, if it's not in the document, as far as I'm concerned, it's forgotten, and it's not on a program, which is not satisfactory to me.
All right, so we'll keep in touch with you to get the updated document so we can make it available to our listeners.
Yes, but in the meantime, this has enough information to at least allay some of the fears of persons and not having any information at all in relation to date and timelines for restoration.
Minister, the buses, your 100 buses have arrived, and I want to ask you, are they powered by LNG?
Yes, compressed natural gas.
Yes. And how do you source that to supply them?
Okay, so there's a plant, a LNG plant at Portmore, which came as part of the first 25 buses, the agreement with the first 25 buses, and basically it is being upgraded as we speak and should be finished within another week or so. To be able to fuel in a timely manner overnight the 125 CNG buses.
And what will this do for your bottom line at JUTC, given that them can't fuel anymore?
Right. So what it will do, obviously, is that's the first factor, which is obviously 100 less buses to worry about of them stealing the diesel oil. These are smart buses, so they come with a lot of technology, which will allow the commuters to be able to interact with the buses to know where the buses are, know the load factor, know everything that you can think of. And more importantly, also allow for JUTC to have better control and efficiency in relation to these buses. So we are going to do a big public education campaign in relation to what these buses can do. We're going to launch an app for these buses, and basically we are going to make sure that we do a complete reallocation of buses on all the routes to make sure that come September morning, persons are being delivered with a better service, shorter waiting time, and more comfort and a better experience on JUTC.
So is that the timeline for the rollout, September?
So September is back to school, as you know. So
Yes.
we will probably start to roll these buses out end of the month, early first week of August, probably for independence, emancipation, and then obviously do our tweaking in terms of the distribution of the buses on all routes. But what I can say to you is that these 100 buses will reduce the misery index significantly because people will be getting buses on a more timely manner. I think we'll get down to about 45 minutes with this. But as you know before, you are at 1.5, 2 hours, 2.5. Sometimes you don't even know when. That could be overnight.
What's the size of the fleet now?
This will take me to about high 300s of reliable buses.
So you were down to just about 200?
Yeah, 200 plus. 200 plus that were reliable. Should I put it that way?
Yeah.
But importantly is the aspect of the technology.
Yeah, we're going to come back to that. But what is the number of the fleet? What is the fleet size you need to be comfortable, so that the traveling public can be comfortable? But you're really going to get the job done very well.
350.
350.
400.
Oh, and with this 100 now, you're up to about 300.
Yeah, but I'm going to remember that the commitment from Minister Clark, who was at the wharf with me today, I have to take him because I have to make sure he sees how I spend his money, is that we're going to try and...
The taxpayers' money.
The taxpayers' money,
Yes.
correct, absolutely. And remember, very importantly, these are the first buses that have come to Jamaica in decades on the taxpayers' money. No
Yes.
loans.
Yes.
Nothing. This is straight giving back the taxpayers for their comfort and their benefit.
And that's why maintenance is going to be so critical. Does the JUTC have a detailed maintenance plan to make sure that 1 year from now, we don't hear to them mash up and then park and we're back at square one?
You know that anything Daryl does, he does it properly. So these buses will have a 3-year maintenance contract by the suppliers. As a matter of fact, 2 arrived today from China, and 2 more are arriving technicians, and they will be here for 6 months to train, technology transfer to the local mechanics at JUTC, but most importantly, the buses will have a service contract aside and apart from the warranty, which is 2 years, which means that you will get, the buses will be serviced properly so that you won't have a fast depreciation of the asset, which is what happens usually. You buy them, put them out there, and of course, there's no scheduled detailed servicing, and of course, in 2.2s, the buses look like 10-year-old buses. On top of which, I have a program for refurbishing buses, and we have already done 8 of the Hill Route buses, and I just got approval from PPC for 16 more. So by the end of this year, I'll have 24 specialized buses on the Hill Routes. And when I say Hill Routes, I'm talking about Stony Hill, Temple Hall, Golden Spring, and I'm talking about Garden Town, Mavis Bank,
Rural St. Andrew.
East Rural and West Rural, which requires a specialized bus in size because of the conditions, the road conditions, and the areas that they're traveling. So I have a plan in relation to knowing that I can't get all the buses in the time that I need them as new buses, but as I said before I got cut off, we are going to order another 100 buses. We're going through the procurement now, and we pay the deposit before the end of the calendar year, and then pay for the balance of them in the new financial year. So I will have, God's willing, another 100 buses here by June of 2025.
Taking it back to the point you made about
technology and the services.
I want to go to technology, but the road conditions. There's been some criticisms that these buses are not properly suited to the Jamaican condition. Can you speak to that?
So let me speak to it very clearly. Before I became transport minister, which I had no idea I was going to be so appointed, I raised this issue in infrastructure, which is a subcommittee of cabinet.
Yes.
Indicating that we cannot continue to buy buses that are not tested and not spec'd for Jamaica conditions. And when I say that, I'm not speaking about the roads only. If a bus is supposed to hold 60 people and 20 standing, you know that you can rest assured that that bus is going up the hill with close to 100 people.
Mm-hmm.
So the bottom line is that under my watch and as a policy of this administration, no bus will be bought unless it is tested. We have tested the Golden Dragon, which is why we're able to order the 100, and we're going to go out to tender for the other 100 with buses that are tested. Once the bus is tested and it meets the criteria of JUTC, then it is spec'd, and the RFP is spec'd to make sure that it can deal with our conditions in Jamaica, which are unique.
Okay.
So these buses that just came are supposed to hold 95 between seated and standing, and they are spec'd with suspension to carry 120, which means that the overloading of these buses will not make them deteriorate as fast as they would if you went and bought a bus off of a shelf or off of a showroom.
Okay.
So you can look forward to the fact that, A, the seats in these buses are not class seats, because in 2-2s they cut them up and do all sorts of things with them.
Mark them
They
up
are
and all that,
specialized
yes.
seats, which will allow you to get in there and wash the bus in the evening with a power washer without having to worry about anything other than to just make sure that you wash it out and it dries for the morning.
You say
So
there's
a lot of detail has gone into this, the specking, both in terms of suspension, chassis, engine, and of course interior and technology.
You said they are smart buses. What services they come with for enhancing the commuter experience?
First of all, there are cameras in there that automatically last for 45 days. So if there's any incident on the bus, you can pick it up, and of course you can download that to store it for longer. You can watch the driver. As a matter of fact, they did a test on one of the buses that is currently here, and basically you can watch the driver and the driver's behavior throughout the entire day. You can watch the bus. You can know how many people are on the bus. You can know whether it's overloaded, whether it's come off the route, anything at all. And of course, most importantly, if there is an unforeseen accident or anything like that, then you have the camera front and back to pick up exactly what transpired. So you have a smart bus, as I said to Minister Clark this morning. The buses that we had before were not smart buses. I wouldn't call them dunce buses, but they definitely weren't smart. And the fact is that technology can be used to enhance so much in terms of customer satisfaction, but more importantly, efficiency, to help the JUTC to be able to monitor the buses and to make sure that we provide a good service. And that's what we're going to do with these 100 buses.
Are they smart enough to accommodate our fellow citizens with disabilities?
Yes.
Well, 10% of all buses that are ordered are for the disabled. And I went there today, and the first thing that I asked was them to show me, and I went on it, and basically the ramp comes down, they go in, you strap them in, you can hold 2 at one time, and the bottom line is that if there's nobody disabled on the bus, those seats can become available for ordinary commuters, but there are special seating and safety for disabled to access the bus, and of course to come off the bus and while they're traveling on the bus. So we're taking everything into consideration.
I was about to say, you thought of it all.
Well, the truth of the matter is, as I said before, it's not rocket science. It's just so common sense is not common, eh? And I think I have a little more than normal of that, but maybe not as bright as Cliff and yourself otherwise.
And then your leadership at JUTC now to make sure they execute. So you've achieved the policy goal to make sure they execute. Are you confident that they'll be able to do that?
Put it this way, they will have to do it, and the fact of the matter is that there's going to be an audit in relation to JUTC to see how we can become more efficient and more lean in relation to that of the staffing and the management and the administration of JUTC. One can't go without the other. You can't put new buses in and spend billions of dollars of taxpayers' money and don't make sure that you do a comprehensive audit of what translates here now and how it can become more efficient from the top to the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Minister Vaz, if I can draw you into another area, yeah, the buses going to St. Thomas and Williams Field, yeah, any particular arrangement for those two parishes?
Put it this way, that is on the table because as we expand our infrastructure, obviously we have to provide services for them. And with the two highways going there, it's a no-brainer in terms of access and timeline. I have one problem before I reach there, and that is Montego Bay Metro, which is a subsidiary of the ministry that's responsible for public transportation in Montego Bay. And unfortunately, that is down to maybe 2 or 3 buses. And that's a critical part of Jamaica that is expanding rapidly and requires people to be able to get to and from work and not necessarily have to use the taxis. So I'm on that and under both. And as a matter of fact, one of the JUTC board members went down there last week to the complete assessment for me. But yes, the answer is yes. So will it happen with these 100 buses? I can't tell you exactly, but definitely by the next 100 buses, that will be a part. The routes will be opened up to St. Thomas and obviously the whole route to Williamsville as well.
Minister, Tam on YouTube is asking you whether these buses will utilize cash or the smart card only.
It will start with both, but I've given instructions that we are to go full cashless in the shortest possible time, and we're going to roll out these buses with cashless and kind of incentivize the existing customers to use it. It's more efficient, it's faster, and of course it's safer for everybody. And of course the problem that we have is that for every bus that we send out there, that we have both cash and cashless. Whatever cash comes into that bus, that is 2 pockets.
Yeah,
that it goes into.
Yeah,
a minimal amount.
So you cut out the teeth in.
The JUTC, and a maximum amount goes to
the 2 foot posts.
Wherever.
The 2 foot posts.
Absolutely. So between the theft of the diesel oil and going cashless, we'll be able to reduce the level of subsidy that we have required for so many years, billions of dollars, and really get some efficiency going in JUTC.
Mr. Transport Minister, this one is from Full Disclose. Cliff, ask him if I could stop driving my car and take the buses.
I would definitely recommend that to take one of these new 100 buses. I don't know exactly where he's from, but that is absolutely the idea. That is absolutely to provide a service that people will feel confident to be able to park their car and know that there is a schedule for buses that he can rely on to know that if the bus is supposed to come at 12 and the next one at 12:45, that he can plan his business, he can go on his app, and he can know that the bus is going to be there and plan his business rather than going and standing up in half a tree bus center, transport center for hours, not knowing whether or not a bus is coming or when it's coming or how it's coming and if it's going to break down by the time it reaches to Cranston Spring Road. So that the answer to that is absolutely that's where we want to go, and of course it will take some time, but we're on the right track.
Tanya
Right,
and Demario are asking about the rural school bus system. Where are we with that?
So have a presentation for Minister Clark that is now complete and ready. The issue with that obviously is the level of subsidy that we're going to have to provide. But as I said, the fact of the matter is that it is well worth it. In this case, it's a few $1 billion a year. So it's not going to be something that I can just roll out all at once. But definitely a pilot project will be launched in short order, and then we see how we can phase it in. But you know, and I know from a rural constituency, that what obtains for these youngsters to get to school and get home in the evening is not sustainable, and obviously it's not making them come out of school with any great marks based on the stress and the anxiety of what they have to go through and the time they have to wake up in the morning to get down, and then the taxis that take them are in a rush to get where they're going, and the safety issues and all of that. So many problems. But guess what? We're here to try to do our best to see how we can fix them one by one.
Minister, let me just pause to say the National Works Agency has just posted that the Bogwalk Gorge is now impassable due to a motor vehicle accident. The police are on location, and it is hoped that the road will be reopened this evening. So please use the alternative route to avoid delays through the gorge. All right? Minister, you're a critical part of the government's burial recovery effort. And St. Elizabeth again, parts of Clarendon, Manchester, a lot of people have lost their roofs. Yes? Has the government given thought to how they're going to direct some assistance to those people to put back the roof on their houses?
We spent hours on that today. The PM will address Parliament tomorrow, and I think he'll have enough to start announcing the government's response. Obviously, there's still work to be done, assessments to be done, but we are very, very aware of the different challenges and the complex challenges that individuals face in different communities for different circumstances. Yeah? And thankfully, we do have some insurance, as Minister Clark would have said, and of course, we have to make sure that we do what we can to address all the sectors that have been affected, and of course, as many of the persons who have been affected, knowing well that no government will ever be able to satisfy all the demands.
But
so we have to make it equitable. We have to make it very transparent, and the bottom line is we have to be very smart in terms of what we do and the timelines that we do it in, because people are suffering as we speak.
So help is coming for people who have lost their roofs.
Well, that would have to be. I mean, obviously, that's one of the major issues of a hurricane in terms of the methodology, and of course, in terms of those who have lost houses completely. We have to find solutions for each case, and we have to, as I said before, we have to do it in a transparent, equitable manner. So I think PM will outline very clearly tomorrow the direction, and of course, I suspect that he will have to continue updating the nation almost on a weekly basis in terms of the response. My focus right now is to just get these 55,000 people back on so that they can get water, and the bottom line is that we can then start to work and collaborate together as Jamaicans as to how best to help our brothers and our sisters, for those of us who are more fortunate than them. So
based on Go ahead.
No, I'm saying that for me, that's what I eat and sleep now. That's it. I mean, I just need to get back the telecos and get back the power so that the water can come back on and get the people back so that they can get back to some kind of normalcy. I mean, 7 days, 10 days, but once you go over that, I mean, you can't ask people to be rational and reasonable at that point.
Based on the number of questions I see coming in our YouTube about transport, we may have to organize a town hall where you can field some of these questions.
Sure, I'd love that. Actually, I mean, the truth of the matter, that would be great. That would be great. And
so we'll send the bill. We'll send the bill to the Transport Ministry.
We have a lot more to talk about in terms of the traffic tickets and the fact that I've made representation for the Ministry of Transport to get a percentage of the tickets that is now going to the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of National Security and the Consolidated Fund. The Ministry of Transport must get their piece of the pie to be able to do a proper public education campaign so we can stop the madness that's going on the roads. So it's very diverse and complex. It's not, it's...
Yeah.
Tough.
Lots of questions.
Anyway, Beryl overshadows everything else. So 100 buses is all fine and well, but the truth of the matter is that I don't prefer those buses to come here without Beryl. So Beryl is the focus. Those buses have been, the shine has come off of that for me.
Minister, you are Minister of Transport, Energy, Telecoms, and what else? Science. That's a super ministry. Which of them gives you...
I don't know what I did to deserve, but whatever it is, it's tough. It's tough.
But you seem to be enjoying the transport portfolio even more so than the others.
It's challenging, and I think that it's where we can get some quick runs, quick results, and obviously give a break to the long suffering commuters of the JUTC.
And transport is a business, you know.
Yeah, from the
that's what you did your business in. Your private business in.
So I kind of use that, but I have a lot of people that give me good advice as well.
Okay. And your portfolios are also critical to the political success of the administration.
Well, we have a year to see that, don't we?
A year? As long as a year?
Well, outside a year, so call it a year unless...
But it could be shorter?
Unless the caller calls it earlier, but the fact of the matter is that plenty work to do. Plenty work.
And that's why you're trying to stay on top of all of it?
Have to. But anything I do 110% or I don't do it at all. So if I'm not into it, then...
Daryl Vaz is the Minister of Science, Technology, Energy, and Transport. Wow. 4. Each of those could be a ministry on their own.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Minister.
I have a good PS and a good team.
Good. Take care. This is Nationwide at 5.
Nation's Business was brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
The mission of the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs includes revising Jamaica's legal and constitutional infrastructure and accelerating the pace of reform. The time by the MLCA is
16 minutes after 7.
Did you know that many of my schoolmates have an unhealthy diet, especially at school? And now 23% of them are overweight and or obese? And so one less sugary drink at my school may mean one friend less,
or 2 or 3,
at risk of cavities or diabetes. And if we're served less foods high in saturated fats, sugar and sodium, it may reduce our risk from obesity, heart disease and high blood pressure.
The solution is simple, right? Act now.
Let's get unhealthy foods and beverages out of our schools.
A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica and partners.
My Mega With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far. My Megamart, best value by far. More savings, more choices. Get active with Active Home Center. The one-stop shop for everything for your home. We have more savings, more choices, unbelievable prices. Wide selection with the latest style. The kitchen, bathroom, right down to the tile. Buy the hottest items on spot, don't miss out. Best options under one roof, no doubt. More savings, more choices.
Visit us in store or online at www.activehomecenter.com.
We have more savings, more choices.
It's time for a new look.
And high time to get serious about protecting our home and investment.
It's time to choose BH Paints with over 60 years experience in quality paint finishes. Their products are superior and long-lasting.
Time to check them out.
Ask about BH Paints 100% Acrylic Ultima Plus paint and primer in one. Experience rich colors with advanced UV and mildew-resistant technologies, independently tested by experts. What are you waiting for? Visit a BH Paints Color Center today.
"18 minutes after 7 o'clock. This is Nationwide at 5. I'm Cliff.
And I'm Ricardo.
At least 2 public health departments are raising concerns about food safety following the passage of Beryl. The St. Anne Health Department says it dumped more than 800 pounds of food from over 60 food establishments in the parish. Chief Public Health Inspector Leroy Scott told the St. Anne Municipal Corporation's monthly meeting on Thursday that the food went bad. Why? A lack of electricity following Beryl.
By Tuesday, in excess of 60 establishments that were assessed. Some didn't have any problem, but we found that we had to condemn products from a relatively large number of those. And that is continuing. The smaller communities which have just the grocery shops, those would not be on the priority list, but we will eventually get there.
That's Leroy Scott, the Chief Public Health Inspector for the parish of St. Anne. Meanwhile, the St. James Health Department has urged consumers to be careful about the quality of food they buy in the aftermath of Beryl. Since the passage of the hurricane, the department has conducted food hygiene checks at 179 food handling establishments. 35 of those were deemed unsatisfactory. 830 kilograms of meat were condemned. And joining us now to discuss further is the Ministry of Health and Wellness's Director of Environmental Health, Michael Williams. Good evening, Mr. Williams.
Good evening, Ricardo. Good evening, Cliff. And good evening to your listeners and viewers.
Do you have a sense of the situation across the other parishes?
Yes, Ricardo. What has happened is that the Ministry of Health, through its Environmental Health Unit, Public Health Inspectorates throughout the island, we have conducted food safety surveillance throughout the year. And whenever we face a situation where we have hurricane flood damage, we step up the inspections assessments because we know of the risk of unsafe food entering the food chain. And so immediately after the hurricane came, our teams were out. We know that with a hurricane you will have power outages. You will have roofs being blown off, and this includes chicken farms. You will have animals drowning, food being destroyed, and the lack of electricity will lead to spoilage. We do not want this food to come back into the food chain, spoiled foods, because it will cause illness and death in the population. And so the officers have been out immediately after the storm to conduct their assessments island-wide. I can tell you that we have visited over 3,000 establishments. This includes the big importers who import the rice, the sugar, the mutton, the fish from abroad, you name it. Once it's food, we visit them. It includes the processors. We have large poultry processors in Jamaica. We visit places like those. We visit the wholesalers and retailers, down to the very food shop on the corner. Restaurants, hotels, you name it. From food is handled there. We visit. We want to ensure that the food that is in the system available to consumers, that food is safe to consume and it does not pose a risk to the health of the population.
Well, Mr. Williams, do you have the manpower necessary to ensure proper coverage, especially when you talk about like the cook shops? We have one on practically every corner.
That is so true. What we have done, Ricardo, is that we have suspended other activities. Public health inspectors do several activities. We have inspectors that work at the ports of entry, inspectors that do occupational safety and health, water quality. So we have suspended many other activities, not to impinge the health of the public now, but all hands are on deck to secure the safety of food that is intended for public consumption. And we, on top of the 3,000 establishments that we have visited, we have closed close to 500 food establishments in the immediate aftermath of Beryl. And a lot of these establishments were closed because they were out of power supply and out of drinking water, potable water. And of such, these two situations would compromise food safety, because now we're talking about spoilage, we're talking about lack of potable water for cleaning and sanitization within the restaurants, the food shops. And so we visited, we had to close over 300 of them. We condemned over 15,000 pounds of food. So, and the work continues. The work continues.
And of the 500 you've had to close down, was there a concentration in any particular parish, or is it evenly spread across?
It was spread across the entire island.
Okay.
But let me say, though, that we observe that along the north coast, a lot of their food establishments had the privilege of having generators, power generators.
Yes.
It wasn't so in other locales. And so there was a lot of condemnation, and these foods had to be condemned and were dumped. So what we observed, though, is that a lot of the food shop owners, the restaurateurs, a lot of them were very cooperative and closed without any coercion. And this we respected. But there are others out there who would have passed on the unsafe food to the consuming public. And so our officers had to be out there to take the necessary action. And even as we speak, the action continues.
Mr. Williams, I don't know if this falls within your purview as Health and Wellness Director of Environmental Health. Mosquitoes, they are surging across the island. Does the treatment of breeding sites fall under your purview?
Yes, Mr. Hughes, very much so.
So what is the plan to deal with the surge in the mosquito population across the island?
Mr. Hughes, let me just tell you this, that we are aware that this would have happened. Without a hurricane or flood, we have issues with mosquitoes. But let me just clearly state here, we have the nuisance mosquitoes and we have vectors of diseases.
That's the one we're concerned about.
So the vectors of diseases would be like your Anopheles that spreads malaria, and your Aedes aegypti that spreads your dengue, your yellow fever, chikungunya, Zika. So those are the ones that are really critical when we're talking about health and safety and preventing outbreaks. So there is, right throughout the year, January to December, we have ongoing vector management. We have a cadre of public health inspectors and vector control officers and workers that go out to do rapid survey in communities. They conduct search and destroy. They conduct health education. They conduct oiling of water bodies and other recommendations that would alleviate mosquito infestation issues. Also, during this time of the year, June to July, going into the rainy season, we always employ additional staff, additional vector staff, to deal with the proliferation of the vectors. And all of that was in train, and we are actively going into that process now. In fact, because of the passage of Hurricane Beryl, we are doubling the workforce to deal with the issue of vectors. And let me just tell you that the nuisance mosquitoes, the salt marsh mosquitoes and the other ones that come up, 4 or 5 days after the hurricane, and they are the ones that are causing havoc right now, biting like crazy. You will have that happening. And it's just a natural process. And let me tell you, the teams are out there. In fact, the Ministry of Health, through the public health departments, have stepped up the pace, and we will be doing fogging twice daily, morning and evening.
Where?
7 days per week. It is being done island-wide, even as we speak.
So
However,
that schedule has started?
Yes, man, we have started. Let me just tell you, in fact, I spoke to the team that is in the Southeast region today, and they commenced their work anywhere from 4:35 going down to 6 to begin the first set of fogging in the built-up areas.
You might have to tell him to step it up, Mr. Williams, because the calls that we're getting suggest that people are really having a hard time of it with the mosquitoes.
Ricardo, yes, we know. And as I said, this is expected immediately after the passage of a hurricane or a storm or some flooding issue, that within a week, you're going to have a serious proliferation of the nuisance mosquitoes all over the place. And so we have stepped up our efforts. We are doing fogging 7 days a week, twice per day.
Am I hearing you hinting, Mr. Williams, that the ones that are now giving us hell are the nuisance mosquitoes and not the vectors?
Mr. Hughes, if you say that, you are correctly right. Because we have done a pretty much good job with the vector species. And the indices that we use, the Aedes index, the Berthoud index, they have come down from highs to the required threshold now. And so it's the nuisance mosquitoes that are causing havoc all over the country right now. But however, we want to keep a track and to control the proliferation of the vector mosquitoes, because once you exceed that threshold again, then the risk for outbreaks will become more significant. What I want to stress, Ricardo and Cliff, is for personal responsibility. Yes, the ministry is doing its part, but I want the population of Jamaica to help themselves. And by helping yourselves, you're helping others and the country. So you're going to wear your long sleeve, your pants, use a mosquito repellent with DEET, and also, interestingly, householders who leave their homes in the morning and the homes are unoccupied, you can get commercial grade mosquito insecticide, spray your home, lock it up, and go through the door. When you come home, your home should be free of mosquitoes. So, and the undue exposure to mosquitoes, their habits, dusk and dawn, try and avoid going outside during these periods. And as I say, wear the type of clothing, use your repellent with DEET, and if you have a home, it's good, put a mosquito mesh at the windows, search and destroy. Don't harbor garbage around your home, water holding containers, even the containers that you use to feed the animals, Cliff, and when you wash them out, scrub the sides, because the eggs of the mosquitoes are lodged around the sides. And within a week, you can have a new generation of mosquitoes. Get rid of the garbage. Get rid of the tires. And interestingly, I just want to leave this with Jamaica. Most of the mosquito breeding that we have found in the field comes from the 55-gallon drums that people hold the rainwater in, that they used to do their washing and domestic activities. Get drum covers, cover the drums. You can use a clean sheet, please, to cover these drums, a plastic to cover these drums. Put a lid on it. Don't allow mosquitoes to go in there and breed. And pretty soon, you're feeding the whole population with mosquitoes.
Michael Williams.
And just before he goes, Cliff, I wanted to ask him, for those who may have not yet gotten fogging, right? And they want to get that done for their community, who do they call?
Call the parish health department, and the parish health department, they carry out the operational activities of the Ministry of Health, and the parishes have a fixed schedule as to where they fog, when they fog. Well, let me just caution you, if there are some extenuating circumstances, what do I mean? If we have a case of dengue or other vector-borne disease, that case will get priority over the other areas that are normally fogged. So just work with us. We know what you're going through. We live in Jamaica too. We experience the bite, the infestation, but work with us.
All right.
Do your part, and the ministry is certainly doing its part. We have ramped up the workers, the vector workers. We have, as I said, doubled the numbers. We have adequate chemicals to treat.
All right, Mr. Williams.
Twice daily. We are doing our part. We want the public to do their part.
All right, so Michael Williams is the Director of Environmental Health in the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, too.
Have a good one.
Good. It's 7:34. And just before you go, I cannot forget to mention this. There's a young man in our family, BJ, Robert Allen. He celebrated a birthday yesterday. And I've been warned, you cannot come off and don't big up BJ.
All right.
So BJ, your entire family, mom, your dad, grandma, your sisters, your uncles, your aunties, yes, your cousins, we're all saying, BJ, yeah, happy birthday. We know you had a good day. Yes?
Okay.
And we're wishing you many, many more happy and healthy birthdays. Mr. BJ is Robert Allen. Yes?
Happy birthday, BJ.
And they're listening to me from the Big Apple.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. 7:35. After the break, it will be time for your calls. The number is 630-9371-4. The Digicel line is 618-8255.
The Watchman. Exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional. Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. Donald Trump's close brush with assassination sends clear message on political violence. On Saturday, July 13, 2024, there was an attempt on the life of presumptive Republican nominee in this November's presidential election, Donald Trump. The shooter, who had a clear line of sight from a rooftop 150 yards away to the stage where Trump was speaking, using a high-powered assault rifle, the type that Republican lawmakers refused to ban, managed to graze the air of the former president. In addition to the shooter, sadly, there was one death of a fireman who was in the crowd and serious injury to two others. Despite any misgivings one may have about Mr. Trump, his lifestyle and style of politics, no one should take pleasure in this horrific incident. Having said that, hardly anyone would be surprised by its occurrence. This for two reasons. The first has to do with Mr. Trump himself. Since his famous descent down that escalator at the start of his political career, the slide of American politics into hate and divisiveness has been graced by his unique brand of vitriol. It's there in countless videos of his every public move and speech for everyone to see and hear. His call on supporters at rallies to violently throw out those not of their ilk. His encouragement of police violence against civilians exercising their right to protest. His association with and leadership of the January 6, 2021 attack by a mob of his supporters on the United States Capitol building in Washington, D.C., ostensibly to interrupt the counting of electoral college votes and the transfer of power in an election he had lost. His guilty verdict by a jury of his peers on a charge of rape. His 4 indictments and guilty verdict on 31 felony charges. His punctuation of almost every speech to party faithful with his signature, "We must fight, fight, fight." Words spoken by Jesus Christ and recorded in Matthew chapter 26 verse 2 established this time-proven admonition. Violence begets violence. The second reason is rooted in a disturbing and almost defining aspect of American political culture and behavior. The number of attempts on the life of American presidents and former presidents have been many. 4 sitting presidents have been killed. Abraham Lincoln, 1865. James Garfield, 1881. William McKinley, 1901. And John F. Kennedy, 1963. 3 presidents have been injured in attempted assassinations. Ronald Reagan while in office, 1981. And former presidents Theodore Roosevelt, 1912, and now Donald Trump. In a nationally televised speech following the attempt on the life of his political nemesis, President Joe Biden called on Americans to settle political differences through the democratic process of the ballot box. The days ahead, especially the Republican National Convention to be held July 15 to 18, 2024 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to select the party's nominee for president and vice president, will tell the world if the call has been heeded. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
This is Wayne Walker from Nationwide 90 FM, and I'll be reporting live from the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. Nationwide 90 FM understands that this could be the best Olympic Games ever. Never miss a single moment, update, commentary, or analysis from the 2024 Paris Olympic Games when you tune into Nationwide 90 FM.
Ronnie James is coming in Hudson Smith, but watch the Jamaican! Here comes Antonio Watson, this could be a photo finish! The Jamaicans got it!
Nationwide 90 FM, we promise to give you A+ coverage powered by our silver sponsors, Digicel, Supreme Ventures Limited, and Pepsi.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. We're on the final lap now, and we're taking your calls, 630-937-124, 618-8255. Brown, good evening.
Hey, good evening,
Ricardo. Good evening, Cliff.
Good evening, bro.
Doing
all right.
And I tell you, man, I'm from St. Elizabeth here. And we're suffering in the heat. I live in Brompton Manor, a new scheme that is built in the Black Rat area here.
Mm-hmm.
We only have one pole that is actually causing us to not to get electricity right now. It was cracked at the top. And the main, and it's like 3 poles from the main road where light is.
Mm-hmm.
And we still haven't been getting it, can't get any light.
What's the name of the community?
Brompton
Manor in St. Elizabeth.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I use the JPS, so they actually restore 86%, 84%.
My brother, you're getting back power next Wednesday. Is your projected time?
Listen to me, man.
Next week Wednesday, not this Wednesday?
Brompton Manor, you say?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
Brompton
man.
Manor.
It says you're unrestored at this point, and your estimated restoration date is Wednesday, July 24.
Oh, Lord.
You are the 1, 2, 3, 4. You're the 5th community on this list.
Listen to me, man. That is ludicrous, man. Trust me. All right. So before let me move one notch to the other. There you had a gentleman earlier who was speaking about the vector control.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Black Rise are kind of swampy place, right?
Yes.
You know, this era since the storm blew, we have not gotten fogging. So if you have priority areas, then
Well,
Black
how
Rise should be
soon
one.
did you get fogging before the storm?
No, not at all.
Oh.
You know, even after the rain fell, you know, then those new eggs would be hatched because the time was a little dry. But I think we're not getting the attention that we need. I know Southfield is much more damaged, but if I am one post that is causing us to get light, and it's 2 posts away from the main road, then I see why we shouldn't get light.
Well, let us hope that this word estimated, you get it back before, because this says estimated, so it could be before.
Oh, man, I tell you, man, but I heard Mr. Barr said something. You see, after 1 week, persons are livid knowing because you give the opportunity. Why is a storm? I will let them put in the necessary planning and so forth. But then after, people now become restless.
Mm-hmm.
People are not thinking straight. I don't even sleep at night time in the bath. You can imagine production at work is become lower now, not true?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
you have water?
Well, we got back water on Thursday, but it went away. We came back on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad, but listen, man, when you have a 4-year-old, you have to fan through the night with cardboard. You can imagine.
Yeah.
And the mosquitoes are another sore point. Trust me.
Yeah, it's
I
hard.
think my suggestion is that the government needs to carry some external help to start to get this thing moved fast. Because at the end of the day, I know that it's us as Jamaicans going to put this bill that JP is going to hand to the government.
Mm-hmm.
So why not get some external help and move it up fast than stretching it out and person become frustrated, restless, and can't think straight. So that is something I'm putting to the government, that they need to carry in help because it is getting out of hand. We're in a high crime society. We're basically sleeping with our windows open, looking outside. We don't know who's going to step in on us. So it's a very serious situation.
It is.
Trust me.
No, to be told, not before next week Wednesday. Oh, Lord.
Estimated.
So it is bad. It's bad.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Only can cheer you up and encourage you to take care of the young one and your family.
Yeah. Thank you for that. But I don't know if we go too far.
All right, my brother.
All right. 13 minutes going up to 8 o'clock.
Errol, good evening.
That's up, Mr. Yo.
You hear the man called me a while ago? And you tell me today, we must be patient. You hear how long him out of power and now not likely to get it back before next week Wednesday. You know what? Give him your house and make him take care of it.
I don't St. Elizabeth, Brompton.
Brampton Court.
Yeah, man.
Or Brampton Manor.
Manor.
Yeah.
What if I post damage down there, so them have to put up back?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Youth.
Yes,
What's
sir.
the Marky G? What Marky G there?
What you ask me about Marky G for? How me feel know about Marky G?
But from the time below, me no hear nothing of Marky G, nothing of them do all over the country where they are chat and fall news and them things.
No, sir. In the day in St. Thomas the other day, him go a Clarendon, him did a St. Elizabeth.
Some part of St. Elizabeth that chat rubbish.
Him did a tour the place, man.
So, they need the people who have to see them. Same like when the little local or them in a going and chat and this. Make the people see them. I don't forget when the people see them. See them here. You get what I say?
Yeah, me hear what you say.
Jamie and Crawford and Peter Bunting and them with that run them out chang with them. Make the people see them chang, see them here. You hear me I say, sir?
Yeah. The people must see them trang.
Chang, see them just like how them and see and them and see everybody in the Labour Party see them with them, we see them to opposition, we did it to chang.
Trang.
Yeah. Me nah hear them, why me never know Marky G, they been gonna look money to come back.
I don't know, sir. I don't know.
You don't know, try see if you can get to him for me. Try see if you can get
You don't think me have anything for do? You don't think me have work for do? What's that?
Mr. Yos, just try if you can get to them for them, sir.
Why you want to hear from Marky G? Nothing Marky G tell you gonna believe.
Marky G coming like a Donald Trump. You know the Donald Trump like Marky G, I didn't see him. I want to find England in Ghana, Mr. Yos.
But Mr. Golding is in Jamaica. Mr. Golding was in Parliament last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday, they look for last Tuesday, no. Eh?
Errol.
Yeah.
You know I'm nothing to talk about.
You know, you ask for Marky G and him followers, and sir. And that's something I talk about.
No, sir. Come with something serious, man.
All right, get somebody else to talk.
Good.
Marie, good evening.
Cliff, how you do?
I'm all right.
Listen, me get back the light.
Oh.
Me get back the light so fast. By the time me have to slide, go back in my bathroom because the place dark. Me come out. And when me come out, the street light and everything come on, me have to dive, go back in my bathroom and me put my foot. But, so, me thank you.
Wait, Marie, you don't want to drill on it?
Yes.
Okay, I'm happy for you, Marie.
But look here. Me have one lady up the road. And you know, say me believe say JPS no know say some people not have light.
Yes.
I honestly think they don't know because
that's what the minister was saying.
Lady,
yes.
She lives right across from Usain Bolt Stadium up there. So and she the only person, she's 85.
Oh,
she
no.
one live in the house. And she don't have no light. She live right beside Stonebrook and Florence Hall. And all of them people, they got back light by the Friday. And she don't have no light. We call. They took the report. One JPS guy, we know him say, somebody went and check up there, but they find some conductor issues. And they can't sort out it all now. Because she went up there by herself.
I hope you're paying attention to her here. Go look fair.
Yes. I go up there. I try to go up there before I go to work. And when I come back, and sometimes I can't go because just to be carrying water. But this evening I come get some water still. So, you know, sometimes it make me worry because she's afraid. You know?
Yes.
Because her husband died last year, so she's alone.
Oh, dear.
Lord.
So, I hope whatever it is, they can sort it out, but bit by bit. So, it's really good sometimes when we call because I think that is only when we talk, they know that some little areas are still without, and there is not much issue really why we don't have.
Yeah.
So,
repeat the area where this lady is.
She's at Florence Hall, right across from the stadium that we have down here, Usain Bolt Stadium. She's a lone person. So, it's a transformer, that trip, and it happens all the time. So,
and everywhere else around her has light.
Everywhere else.
You hear that, JPS?
Stonebrook, the stadium have, everywhere else have, and she one pan her lot right there, so not have no light.
Yeah, because based on
And
this
it's a
list, there are
old
only
lady.
7
It's a
communities
old
in
lady.
Trelawney without power now.
All right, JPS, try and pay that lady some attention. The Trelawney division of JPS, you may have overlooked
When
this
they work
lady
hard, I may appreciate them.
at Florence.
100%.
Florence Hall, you say?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Right
Yes.
across from the stadium.
Stadium.
There.
Yes.
Yeah. Go check on that customer JPS. Yeah?
And keep an eye on her, Marie, please.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
So you're good again, Marie.
Boy, me hot but me good. Because me run go have fun every now and again. You know?
And you get a good shower now.
Boy, me say. I tell them, me say, look how much me call it. Where all time people call it plaster Paris. Because me tell you, say. We never know, say they don't answer the call so quick. It's like somebody touch on something and like, and me, they madly in a place in a darkness. Boy, me I tell you.
Oh, so you come out of the bathroom naked.
Me say,
You never get it, Ricardo.
And the light come on bright.
Me say, and then it's like it's brighter than before because we in the darkness so long.
Show up everything, eh?
Everything.
You have to run go back in the bathroom, Marie.
Yes, because the whole place open up in the roadside. Me say, me have to slide like cartoon.
Oh, so you never bring your towel. No mind.
No, sir. I need none of that in my
darkness.
You're back in your birthday suit. Oh, my God.
Oh.
I'll tell you.
I say it go.
I'll tell you. But
all right.
take good care.
All right, Marie.
And keep up the good work.
Yes, man.
All right, so no, I see 2 YouTubers asking me. I checked for you, Juliet. I don't see an area of in St. Mary on there. And somebody has asked me to check for somewhere in Mandeville. I did. I don't see that area on there as well. All right.
Roland's Field in St. Thomas, JPS. Carissa Kelly says, Roland's Field, St. Thomas, still without electricity. Cliff, beg you, ask JPS what's happening with Roland's Field. Yeah, is Roland's Field on the list in St. Thomas? Yes? Desmond.
Yes, good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm good.
Wonderful. We keep talking about JPS all the way, and I'm just going to comment on them this evening. JPS is not ready, and I don't understand how everybody's defending them. This is what happened. If we had a real damage, this country would be in trouble. JPS is using their local workers to go out and fix the damaged areas. If JPS was planning for this hurricane, they would have make contract or come to some agreement with all their pole line subcontractors and get all of them out on board, right? So that at 10 days, we shouldn't have 20,000 people out of electricity. That is foolishness. We're talking about production, and everything rely on JPS for production. Everybody little storage and everything that they have in storage that would maybe last a couple of days is now destroyed because what? JPS failed to get the necessary people on board and saturate the place, right? And get the work done. This is nonsense. We can talk about you're going to wait 1 month for the hurricane that just passed on the edge of Jamaica just to correct our electricity problem. That is nonsense. That's unacceptable. And I'm not talking about being patient. I am saying that saturate the place with the workers. JPS is just trying to hold on to the money and just stretch out. It's just like when you get a little man to do some work and you just stretch out the job, and the end of it, they don't get anybody else to help them get the job done quick. And you just stretch out the job and end of the day, it don't work out. And the same thing JPS is doing. The place should have been saturated with subcontractors. JPS have a whole pole line subcontractors. Call them on board. Get the poles them in the place and where the poles them are, and get the poles them planted and get the things them back up. Within 15 days, we should have electricity to cover the whole island. Our foolishness is, are we not damaged by the hurricane? It's just the southern section of the country get hit. You find that people that don't even get damage in their area yet. The source might have to be coming from somewhere else. But some people get no damage in 5 days before they get back on it. Our foolishness, that. It is unacceptable, and I don't accept it any at all. I think it is mediocrity and what the next word? It is just unacceptable. Incompetence. right? JPS are ramp. Because you're a monopoly, they do what they do. Whenever we get you, that's your business. And everybody else will suffer. That's not unacceptable. Seriously. I'm just expressing I've been concerned about it a long time, you know. I've been saying it a long time.
You're expressing the
that JPS have been incompetent long time. Because when it takes me almost 4 days to get back current, I'm living in the Constant Spring area. Almost 4 days to get back current. It's a nonsense this. And we have even get damaged. All
right, sir. Thank you. Let me just quickly squeezing another one. Barbara Ellington says Over River, Contrivance, Chudley Path, Providence, Mount Gerison, still dark. Yes? So a lot of places, as we heard from the minister and by your list, JPS, your customers are losing patience now. Yes? They are frustrated. All right. That's where we're going to leave it for this evening. Yeah? And I will never forget Marie for this evening. Yeah? Marie get caught in her birthday clothes. JPS exposed
with the
Marie.
window wide open, my light does turn on.
And she a muggle. Thanks to our producer. Yes, our producer, Dana Davey. Our technical operator, Andrew Anderson. Members of the news and production team, as well as our YouTubers and our WhatsAppers. Thank you so much. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Ricardo Brooks.
Reminding you, take care of your loved one and look out for your neighbor. Good night.